दादा
नमस्कार
नमस्कार।
सर। नमस्कार सर।
क्या हाल है?
बस सर आपका आशीर्वाद है सर, और बहुत बहुत आभार सर।
कलकत्ता में बारिश वारिश हो रही है?
नहीं, बारिश तो नहीं हो रही है, हल्की बारिश हो रही है, लेकिन गर्मी है, पसीना बहुत है। और बाकी तो दीदी का तो आप सुन ही रहे हैं सब, क्या बताऊं मैं।
गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से क्या बारिश हो रही है वहां पे?
गालियां।
नौटंकी।
हाँ, नौटंकी गालियां। इंडिया, जय
मैं
इंडिया।
कल एक वीडियो में सुन रहा था कि सी स्टेटेड दैट सी इज उसका पैर जो है कुछ लगड़ी हो गई है, तो सी विल नॉट गो टू बैंगलोर।
सब नौटंकी है, कुछ नहीं है।
तो बाद में फिर ज्यादा इनको भाव दिया गया, और सो मच सो दैट इवन कपिल सिब्बल ने फोन किया
हम्म।
कि सोनिया मैडम वहां, क्योंकि सी कैन नॉट डाइजेस्ट, मतलब स्टैंड अप अगेंस्ट, राहुल को स्टैंड नहीं कर सकती ना वो।
जी जी जी।
तो सोनिया जी आ रही है, बेइज्जती हो जाएगी, ये है वो है, तो सी सेड ओके। फिर बाद में बड़ा कन्विंस वन्विंस करके उसने बोला कि जो मैं बातें करती हूँ वो मान लो, ऐसा है वैसा है, आप वेस्ट बंगाल में इलेक्शन नहीं लड़ोगे, कुछ इसका अंदर अंडर एंड डील हुआ होगा।
जी।
फिर ये गई वहां पर, तो वहां पर थोड़ा सा भाव वो दिया था, एंड
अब
दिस।
अब सवाल ये सर कि यहाँ यहाँ के कांग्रेसी लोग तो पूरा खिलाफ हैं टीएमसी के। एक दूसरा जो है, ये सीपीआई वालों भी तो इनको मतलब स्टैंड नहीं कर पाते हैं ना। वृंदा करात का आपने देखा होगा।
हाँ उधर प्रणाम साहब, प्रणाम। कब भाग्य हमारे।
नमस्कारम सर।
नमस्कारम सर, बहुत बीमार है यार।
कल
ओके,
पेना
जारी रखो।
क्या हो गया?
कल के पेनाल्टी क्या क्या कल के पेनाल्टी क्या दोगे बताओ?
नहीं नहीं,
जी।
बीमार हैं। बीमार हैं।
अच्छा।
हाँ,
अरे
परसों परसों मैं बता रहा था, परसों भी मैं बताया था, लेकिन आप लोग ने खैर नहीं किया।
नहीं, मैं ख्याल किया हूँ आप बीमार हैं, मैं
मेरे
आपको
ख्याल
बोल
में
रहा था।
आफ्टर स्ट्रीम बताया होगा, मैं आफ्टर स्ट्रीम के बाद भी
अभी
चला गया
कैसा?
था।
अभी
नहीं
अभी
नहीं
कैसे हैं सर?
नहीं, स्ट्रीम शुरू होते ही बोला था मैं।
अच्छा अच्छा
अभी
अच्छा
कैसे हैं सर आप?
अभी कैसे है?
अभी बुखार थोड़ा कम हो गया, लेकिन बाकी का जो है वो कुछ हमारे उधर है, अभी ये कोरोना जैसा कुछ लग रहा है मेरे को। मेरा बड़ा लड़का तो दो दो महीना हो गया उसको।
बोल रहे थे, ये भी बात आपकी डॉक्टर के यहाँ ले
हाँ,
जाना उस दिन बोल रहे थे ना।
पत्नी पत्नी और मेरे दो लड़का लोगों को, दो दो डॉक्टरों को अभी मैं बदल बदल के दिखाया। उसके बाद मुझे भी ऐसा थोड़ा हो रहा था, वो बॉडी में पेन वगैरह। फिर परसों अचानक बुखार चढ़ गया, फिर सुबह होते ही मैं हॉस्पिटल में गया। दवा खाने के बाद बुखार तो चला गया, लेकिन वो बाकी का जो है अभी भी है। देखो ना,
हाथ
आवाज में
पैर।
बहुत फर्क है मेरा।
हाँ, आवाज में फर्क है, और हाथ पैर दुख रहा होगा ना, पूरा पूरा बदन
हाँ,
दुख
ऐसा
रहा
भी
होगा।
है, ऐसा भी है।
पेट वेट खराब तो नहीं हुआ है सर?
नहीं नहीं नहीं, पेट नहीं है, वो कुछ है बोलता है। आज मैं दूसरे एक आदमी से बात किया तो वो बोलता है उधर उनका बहुत बड़ा डिस्ट्रिक्ट गवर्नमेंट का हॉस्पिटल के अंदर लोग भर गया बोलते हैं। बाद में वो
हाँ
लोग
तो
वरांदा
ये,
में पेशेंट को ट्रीट कर रहे हैं बोलते
हाँ तो हमारे यहाँ भी कोर्ट में तो जजेस जितने हैं सब मास्क पहन रहे हैं, इसीलिए।
हैं। वो बारिश हुआ था ना, उसमें से ये ज्यादा फैल गया था।
जी जी जी।
ओके, अभी लाइव में क्या बोलेगा इसके बारे में, हम लोग चालू
नहीं नहीं,
रखो
ठीक।
टॉपिक।
ठीक, आप ख्याल रखिए अपना। आप क्या बोलूँ मैं, घर का सबका ख्याल रखिए। गुरुजी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
नमस्ते वीवी दादा, नमस्ते एम सर।
जी
रावण
सर,
सर,
जी
तबीयत
सर,
जल्दी ठीक
नमस्ते।
करिए अपनी। रावण सर नमस्ते, अच्छे से हेल्थ करिए जल्दी से।
रावण सर नहीं आते, हम लोग लंगड़े हो जाते हैं, और कुछ नहीं।
रावण सर की तबीयत अभी तो डाउन हो गई है, तो ठीक है। वो थोड़ा आयुर्वेदिक ट्रीटमेंट भी लेना सर, अगर अवेलेबल हो वहाँ पे अच्छा तो इम्यूनिटी प्रॉपर हो जाएगी, ठीक हो जाएंगे जल्दी आप।
जी 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 जी।
शुरू करें?
जी सर,
जी दादा,
शुरू कीजिए।
श्री गणेश।
1 मिनट, मैं इसको लिंक पिन कर दूं थोड़ा सा।
क्या कर दिया सिंह साहब, कुछ तैयारी नहीं रखा आपने तो लाइव स्ट्रीम ऑन कर दिया फिर।
अरे लिंक पिन कर रहा हूं, मैं लाइव स्ट्रीम में ही हूं।
हाँ वो, लेकिन वो सब रेडी रखने का था ना, लाइव होता है प्रोग्राम शुरू होना चाहिए ना।
अबे हमें क्या मालूम कि आप लोग इतनी जल्दी आ जाओगे यहाँ तो। एनीवे चलो, तो हम लोग कल कवर किया था हम लोगों ने बिंडर वाले की, किस तरीके से जैल सिंह और इन लोगों ने सब कवर किया था हम लोगों ने बिंडर वाले की, भाई क्या किस तरीके से जैल सिंह और संजय गांधी और बंसीलाल इन लोगों ने थोड़ा सा उसको उठाया था जिससे कि कांग्रेस जो है 1985 का इलेक्शन जीत सके। आज हम लोग डिस्कस करने वाले हैं कि भिंडर वाले को ऑपरेशन 1 जो खत्म हुआ था उसके बाद में किस तरीके से कांग्रेस ने और वहां की गवर्नमेंट ने प्रॉप अप किया था, मतलब हाउ ही रोज टू इन्फ्लुएंस। क्योंकि जब पहले जो लोकल इलेक्शन थे पहले उसमें उनको यूज किया, उसके बाद में फिर उसको 1985 के इलेक्शन के बारे में यूज कर रहे थे। तो मैं डॉक्यूमेंट शेयर करता हूँ, देखते हैं कि क्या निकल के आता है इसमें। क्या भाई, चलो भाई, चलो चलो, हाँ ये आ गया।
जी
दिख
सर,
रहे हैं राइज ऑफ
बिल्कुल
भिंडर वाले?
दिख रही है। द राइज ऑफ भिंडरावाले 90 पीरियड क्या बता रहा है, 1982?
1980 के बाद ही शुरू हुआ ना ये मामला, उससे
जी
पहले तो ऑपरेशन 1 चल रहा था ना।
जी
जब
जी
इंदिरा
जी
जी वापस आई जनवरी 80 में इलेक्शन के बाद में, तो फिर ऑपरेशन 2 शुरू हुआ ना।
जी जी
पहले उनकी लड़ाई थी भिंडर वाले को, इन्होंने प्रॉप अप किया था जो पंजाब की गवर्नमेंट थी, अकाली गवर्नमेंट थी, उसको डिस्प्लेस करना था ना।
तो
एंड
पढ़ता हूँ सर।
इंदिरा जी वॉज इन अपोजिशन, जब जनवरी 80 में जीत के आ गई तो उनका फिर ऑपरेशन 2 शुरू हो गया ना, वहां से शुरू हो रहा है फिर ये।
हाँ, तो with Bhindranwale's capability and willingness to deliver results already tested at the state level, following the Congress Party's return to power at the center in 1980, it was decided that the Congress would deploy him, and the issue of Khalistan, which had by then stuck to him because of his refusal or inability to rebut it, in order to win the 8th Lok Sabha elections that were due before January 1985. This would mark the beginning of the Operation 2 phase. Based on my operational experience of working in the department, certain decisions that came to my notice, and developments as they unfolded, the idea behind Operation 2 can be summed up as follows: create a climate of communal mistrust between Hindus and Sikhs in Punjab and the neighboring state of Haryana, first by encouraging and then by overlooking acts of violence and extremism attributed to Bhindranwale. This would be accompanied by coverage of related incidents by an obliging media, especially the vernacular press. Also, an impression would be created amongst Hindus that pro-Khalistan feelings were catching the imagination of all Sikhs, both in Punjab and abroad, which had the potential of endangering the integrity of the nation. In such a vitiated atmosphere, Hindus were expected to feel hurt, victimized, and threatened by the acts of the Sikh community, whose interests could easily be ignored as they comprised less than 2% of the country's population. Prolonged and unhindered but carefully controlled discontent among members of the majority community was expected to generate emotional hysteria and the belief that the nation's integrity was in danger from proponents of Khalistan who were conspiring against the state with, with or without the support of foreign elements. The combined impact of the above mentioned factors was bound to create a mood of vengeance amongst Hindus, leading to demands for the strongest possible action to protect national integrity and the interests of the majority community from anti-national, divisive, communal and criminal forces bent on disturbing the peace, harmony and unity of the nation.
What a dirty politics it was, eh? बाप रे,
तो ये कल हमारे
treachery.
हमारे वो भाई टूल किट मांग रहे थे, तो यहाँ तो उसका मतलब क्या बोलूं, स्केच तो दिया गया है पूरा.
बाप रे, and it is
दोनों
coming from
पैरा में.
Russell Mouth, huh?
करेक्ट सर.
It is not a fiction, it is true.
On the other hand, it was also important to keep the pot boiling in Punjab and to allow Bhindranwale to operate unhindered till the situation was ripe for final action. It was essential to initiate dialogue with the moderate Akali Dal leaders and give them the impression that Prime Minister Gandhi was sympathetic to the resolution of their demands, for which they had been agitating for some time. But in actual fact, the talks would be prolonged on one pretext or the other, because if the demands were accepted, normalcy would return prematurely to Punjab. That would leave no
अरे
scope.
लॉन्ग टर्म पॉलिसी थी, है 85
हाँ,
तक
हाँ, हाँ.
खींचा उसको. बाप रे.
That would leave no scope for Bhindranwale to operate. But if moderate Akali leaders somehow lost all hopes of a solution and decided to suspend or withdraw their agitation before the time chosen by the One Akbar Road group, Bhindranwale would have been left with little justification to stay put in the Golden Temple complex. He would have come under pressure from all sides to vacate the premises and go back to his Mehta Chowk Gurudwara. This was also not acceptable to the One Akbar Road group. ये backfire किया देखिए, with the opposition parties left twiddling their thumbs and compelled to endorse public demands for strong action.
Twiddling.
Twiddling their thumbs and compelled to endorse public demands for strong action, and the One Akbar Road group having hijacked the agendas of some of these parties. ये भी important है, very significant.
दादा एक मिनट रावण साहब
रावण दादा,
ये वन अकबर रोड ग्रुप मालूम है क्या है?
मालूम है, ये इधर है ना, करोड़ पैस में है ना ये.
नहीं, ये जो वन अकबर रोड ग्रुप है, ये वो है ना इंदिरा जी का जहां पर रेसिडेंट था ना, वन अकबर रोड. वो वहां पर जो ग्रुप था ना, उसमें संजय गांधी थे, जैल सिंह थे, बंसीलाल थे और ये जो अपना कमलनाथ, ये चार का ग्रुप था. तो उनको ये बोल रहा है वन अकबर रोड ग्रुप, उनको बोल रहा है. ये चारों के चारों हरामी जो है पंजाब प्रॉब्लम को, खालिस्तान प्रॉब्लम को फॉर्मेट करने के लिए तैयार बैठे थे, उनकी बात कर रहा है. इंदिरा जी के अलावा 4 जने और थे, वो उनकी बात कर रहा है. हाँ,
अच्छा, ये नई दिल्ली में है ना, कनॉट प्लेस का करीब में, मैं उधर से गुजरा हुआ है.
हाँ, ये अरे इंदिरा जी यहीं पे मारी गई थी ना, वन अकबर रोड पे तो मारी गई थी. वो सफदरगंज से अपने घर से निकल के ऑफिस जा रही थी ना, ये इनका ऑफिस था.
ऑफिस तो बगल में था.
क्रॉस रोड, अक्रॉस द रोड ना.
हाँ. With the opposition parties left twiddling their thumbs and compelled to endorse public demands for strong action, and the One Akbar Road group having hijacked the agendas of some of these parties, suitable conditions would have been created for Indira Gandhi to take strong action to put an end to the above mentioned anti-Hindu and anti-national activities of Sikh extremists and emerge as a strong, decisive leader. The only problem in this plan was that such an action had to be well timed, keeping in view the next national elections, as any significant lapse of time between the two might fritter away the political gains arising out of it.
दादा, कल मैं सोच रहा था कि जो स्वर्ण सिंह ने और जगजीवन राम ने इसको सलाह दी थी कि आप इस्तीफा दे दो और स्वर्ण सिंह को प्राइम मिनिस्टर बना दो, बाद में फिर से वापस आ जाना, अगर वो मान लेती तो ये होता ही नहीं था ना.
बिल्कुल सर.
और ये सब खुरापात किसने किया? संजय गांधी और बंसीलाल ने किया. उसने क्या बोला, बंसीलाल ने क्या बोला कि स्वर्ण सिंह प्राइम मिनिस्टर बन जाएंगे, तुम्हारे को दोबारा जब तुम वापस आओगे
दोबारा मौका ही नहीं मिलेगा,
नहीं देंगे वो. दैट वाज द प्रॉब्लम.
ये दिमाग में घुसा गया, इसीलिए तो डर गई ना.
Bhindranwale
growing influence. in 1980, the Shiromani Akali Dal Janata Party coalition government in Punjab, led by Prakash Singh Badal, was dismissed, resulting in fresh elections to the state assembly. In these elections, the Congress returned to power. Indira Gandhi appointed Zail Singh's arch rival Darbara Singh as Chief
ये भी
Minister of
प्रॉब्लम थी,
Punjab.
तभी मरवाया इसको दरबारा सिंह को बाद में इन लोगों ने।
अब देखिए, an insecure Zail Singh, an insecure Zail Singh. सब लोग इनसिक्योरिटी से मतलब ऐसे ही मतलब इनसिक्योरिटी से परेशान थे सब अंदर अंदर psychologically, who had become home minister at the center, now had to protect his own turf in Punjab while staying on as an active member of the One Akbar Road group. In addition to the personal political rivalry between the two Sikh Congress leaders from Punjab, there was a clear clash of ideology as well. Darbara Singh, a member of the old Congress school of thought, was secular in his politics, while Zail Singh not only tolerated communal forces but also compromised with them. He had no qualms about adopting a communal agenda to further both his own and the Congress party's interests in Punjab. The change in governments at the center in Punjab was followed by a significant increase in violence in the state. Pro Khalistan activities started getting noticed. According to reports, in early April 1980, while visiting village Jandua Bhim Shah in Tehsil Fazilka, Bhindrawale had announced that Bacha Gurbachan Singh, head of the Nirankaris, had killed 25 persons while he had killed only 3. Therefore, he would kill 22 Nirankaris more. On 24th of April 1980, Gurbachan Singh was shot dead in his house in New Delhi. Bhindrawale's name figured as one of the suspects in the case. Fearing arrest, he sought refuge in Guru Nanak Niwas, an SGPC managed guest house adjoining the Golden Temple complex, and did not come out till Zail Singh made a statement in Parliament that Bhindrawale had nothing to do with Gurbachan Singh's murder. Bhindrawale thereafter announced that Gurbachan Singh's killers deserved to be honored by the Jathedar, head priest of the Akal Takht. Sub-stage. He also said that he would himself weigh the killers in gold if they came to meet him. In the middle of March 1981, a Sikh educational conference was organized at Chandigarh by Chief Khalsa Diwan, a non-political organization meant to promote Sikh educational institutions in Punjab. It was presided over by a US national, Ganga Singh Dhillon, head of the Washington DC based Guru Nanak Foundation. Though a comparatively unknown entity in Punjab till then, Ganga Singh Dhillon was close to some influential US senators and congressmen as well as to Pakistan's president Zia-ul Haq. अच्छा, आदमी भी चुन चुन के इन लोग लाया, एकदम एजेंडा के साथ फिट हो जाए, जैसे ताला और चाबी का जो मतलब ये लीवर अरेंजमेंट है, एकदम वैसे ही मतलब घुमाने से एक के बाद दूसरा लीवर गिरता रहे. During the proceedings of the Chandigarh conference, it was declared that Sikhs are a separate nation. Dhillon himself moved a resolution stating Sikhs be admitted as an associate member of the United Nations as they are not part of a Hindu mainstream and had a separate identity.
दादा एक मिनट. Now, Indira ji is Prime Minister of the country. Darbara Singh is Chief Minister of Punjab. And still Dhillon has got audacity to move a resolution stating that Sikh is a separate nation. That means Congress tacit support is there, na?
No, support matlab it's operating as per the script already made out, prepared as per Congress's script.
तो फिर ये क्यों बोलते रहते कांग्रेसी नहीं हमने उनको मारा था, गोलियां किया था, वो किया था. ये तो क्लियर कट है ना कि जब ढिल्लो वहां पर सेपरेट नेशन की बात कर रहा है. चलो ठीक है, आगे चलो.
Following Dhillon's visit, senior BJP leader Atal Bihari Vajpayee, participating in a debate in the Lok Sabha, quoted Punjab Chief Minister Darbara Singh as having said that Zail Singh had met Ganga Singh Dhillon at Karnal. As late as on 10th of August 1981, Indira Gandhi had said in a press conference at New Delhi, so far, Khalistan existed only in Canada and perhaps in the USA also. But it does not mean that we would lower our guards and not exercise the utmost vigilance. It would be pertinent to question, given Ganga Singh Dhillon's background, why he was allowed entry into the country to preside over such a conference in Chandigarh.
Yes, that's
ये
basic
ये
question I
ऑथर का अपना, हाँ, जो आप बोले ऑथर का अपना राय यही है, why he was allowed to enter the country.
नहीं अलाउ ठीक है, बट टू द एक्सटेंट दैट सिख इज अ सेपरेट नेशन, वो भी चंडीगढ़ में बोल रहा है
And preside over such a conference, ये भी तो लिख रहा है वो.
क्या यार.
To compete with Bhindranwale's growing influence, in May 1981, the moderate Akali Dal leadership demanded a complete ban on the use of tobacco in the holy city of Amritsar. There were demonstrations and counter demonstrations in support of and against this demand. Akalis even shouted some provocative slogans against the Hindu Suraksha Samiti, led by Patiala based Pawan Kumar Sharma, who had organized demonstrations against this demand. Pawan Kumar
25% कांग्रेस सक्सीडेड. अकाली नाउ डिमांड, अकाली जो जो हिंदू और सिख के बीच में डिवाइड था ना, वो सक्सेसफुली कर दिया. बताओ, अकाली जो गवर्नमेंट में थे, जिनके चक्कर में ये दुनिया भर का नाटक रचा गया था, वो भी अब अगेंस्ट हिंदू हो गए. ये देखो.
जी जी. Pawan Kumar was reportedly close to Amarinder Singh and Haryana Chief Minister Bhajan Lal. Lala Jagat Narayan.
बंसीलाल को डिफेंस बनाया तो भजन लाल का चीफ मिनिस्टर बना दिया था.
जी, सब हरियाणा के. Lala Jagat Narayan and a section of Congress leaders had also supported the HSS on that issue. After the anti-tobacco demonstrations of 31st of May 1981 at Amritsar, the Punjab government asked people to surrender their licensed arms. Bhindranwale, addressing a congregation at Sector 11, Gurudwara, Chandigarh, was adamant that his men would not surrender their arms. On 9th of September 1981, Lala Jagat Narayan, proprietor of a chain of newspapers published from Jalandhar, was shot dead near Ludhiana. Jagat
ये
Narayan.
पंजाब केसरी का एडिटर थे. ये पंजाब केसरी छपता है ना वहां से.
जी जी जी, बहुत पुराना पेपर है.
हाँ, तो उसके ये एडिटर थे.
जी जी. Jagat Narayan's influential daily, Punjab Kesari, had been critical of Bhindranwale and Narayan, who had been present at the clash between the Sikhs and Nirankaris, had testified in court against Bhindranwale.
Punjab इमरजेंसी टाइम में पंजाब केसरी वाज द ओनली पेपर हु वाज राइटिंग अगेंस्ट इमरजेंसी. मैं देहरादून में पढ़ता था, सारे के सारे इतना पॉपुलर हो गया था. देहरादून में पंजाब केसरी भी पढ़ते थे, हिंदी वाला. ये पंजाबी में छपता था, हिंदी में भी छपता था ये.
जी जी. और उसका वजह ये है कि वहाँ सिख्स थे ना, आपके देहरादून साइड में भी, मतलब पुराना रिलेशन है सिख एम्पायर के साथ देहरादून, वो सब एरिया का, तो इसीलिए वो पेपर मतलब
लाला जगत नारायण वाज क्लोज रिलेटिव ऑफ लाला लाजपत राय, ऐसा था वैसे.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा.
गोली मार दिया. फिर पंजाब केसरी वाज अक्यूज्ड ऑफ टेकिंग अ प्रो.
Punjab Kesari was accused of taking a pro-Nirankari stand. According to Mark Tully and Satish Jacob, Narayan's partisan attitude was typical. In fact, the whole of the Punjab press was divided on communal lines. On the day Lala Jagat Narayan was killed, Bhindranwale was on a preaching mission at village Chando Kalan in Hisar district in Haryana. He, along with two associates, was named in the FIR filed after the murder. A Punjab police team headed by Deputy Inspector General of Police D.S. Mangap was sent with warrants to Chando Kalan under instructions from Chief Minister Darbara Singh to arrest Bhindranwale. Tipped off suitably, Bhindranwale had already left Chando Kalan with some of his supporters and had headed for his headquarters, Gurudwara Darshan Prakash Chowk Mehta. He travelled over 300 kilometers through Haryana and Punjab and reached Chowk Mehta in the night of 13 to 14 September 1981. According to Kuldeep Nair, Zail Singh himself telephoned Haryana Chief Minister Bhajan Lal and told him not to arrest Bhindranwale and not to get involved in the case.
Bravo.
A senior police officer told Satish Jacob that the Haryana Chief Minister went as far as to send an official car to Chando Kalan to drive Bhindrawale back to his Gurudwara.
बाप रे, ये हमारे लीडर थे बाबा.
My batchmate Divakar Das Gupta, IPS 1964 MP cadre, who was the DIG at BSF headquarters in New Delhi, had told me at that time that the force tried to stop Bhindrawale at each of their checkposts, but he received instructions from the Home Minister's office to let Bhindrawale pass unhindered. अब ये सब लोग गाली देते हैं ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को कि भाई आप काम नहीं करते हो, ऊपर से इंस्ट्रक्शन आएगा तो कौन रिस्क लेगा सर, बताइए.
मैंने 4 दिन पहले कस्टम के करप्शन के ऊपर बनाई है ना, उसमें वही है ना, जब नॉर्थ ब्लॉक पोस्ट करता है सीनियर ऑफिसर को मुंबई में या कलकत्ता में, दिल्ली में, तो वो तो पैसा लेता है. तो जो नीचे आएगा तो वो भी तो पैसा लेकर के उनको भेजता है ना, फिर बोलता है भाई ठीक है, आधा तुमने दे दिया, आधा भेजते रहो. हवाई जहाज
ये
में
बंद कभी नहीं होगा, ये कभी बंद नहीं होगा सर, ये कभी बंद नहीं होगा. ये अंग्रेजों के टाइम से है. मेरे पास पुराने मतलब बुक्स हैं बांग्ला में लिखा हुआ कलकत्ता के बारे में, उस समय क्या होता था, उस समय भी यही चीज था.
आज प्रेसिडेंट अवार्ड दिया है कस्टम ऑफिसर को, जिनके नाम है उनको मैं पर्सनली जानता हूँ, सारा एक से एक भ्रष्ट ऑफिसर है जिनको प्रेसिडेंट अवार्ड दिया. हाँ, पढ़ो आगे.
As Bhindrawale left in a great hurry, carefully maintained transcripts of all his sermons were left behind. They were reportedly set on fire in anger by the raiding Punjab police party. मतलब evidence भी destroy कर दिया.
Now it is aiding and abetting. चलो.
Who will arrest Bhindrawale? Lieutenant General S.K. Sinha was the GONC General Officer Commanding in Chief of the Western Command during that period. Within a couple of days of Bhindrawale's return to Chowk Mehta, the Chief Secretary of Punjab requested him to arrest Bhindrawale. When General Sinha told him that it was not the job of the army, the Chief Secretary reportedly requested him to lend army tanks to help the Punjab police to carry out the task. मतलब ये क्या घर का गाड़ी है क्या, ऐसे ही बुला लें?
नहीं, पंजाब चीफ मिनिस्टर वाज दरबारा सिंह, हु वाज enemy of Jail Singh ना, तो Jail Singh was protected.
वो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ मैं, मतलब आर्मी टैंक्स आर नॉट फॉर, आई मीन टारगेटिंग सिविलियंस. घर का गाड़ी नहीं है.
पुलिस वाले चलाएंगे क्या उसको? लैंड बोल रहा है, उधार दे दो हमारे.
लैंड बोल रहा है ना कि घर का गाड़ी है भाई, दे दो 2 दिन के लिए, रेकी पे निकलेंगे, मिशन पे निकलेंगे. वही मैं बोल रहा था. आई वाज बीइंग sarcastic.
करेक्ट.
That odd request, देखिए खुद लिखना, that odd request was obviously refused. A personal request to Lieutenant General Sinha by Chief Minister Darbara Singh in that respect also did not work. 2 days later, General Sinha's Chief of Staff received orders from the Prime Minister's office that the army had to arrest Bhindrawale and detailed a Gurkha battalion to carry out the task. When General Sinha came to know about it, he told his chief of staff to put the operation on hold. He then called. ठीक है, he then called.
He never wanted to involve army or what? ऐसा कुछ होगा.
हाँ, तो आर्मी गोरखा बटालियन को बोल रहा है अरेस्ट करके लाओ. इट्स नॉट द जॉब ऑफ द आर्मी टू अरेस्ट समवन ना.
मैं थोड़ा सा आगे सोच रहा हूँ. Since army senior officers of the army would have been 6 ना, तो जनरल should have been concerned about that कि अगर हम लोग यहाँ पर ये कुछ करेंगे तो जो मेरे ऑफिसर्स हैं वो लोग भड़क जाएंगे. ऐसा कुछ हुआ होगा शायद, ये भी उसके दिमाग में
भड़क जाएंगे या उन पे ब्लेम भी आएगा ना फिर. When General Sinha came to know about it, he told his chief of staff to put the operation on hold. He then called Defense Minister R. Venkatraman and requested that he be allowed to discuss the matter with the Prime Minister before the orders were carried out. The next day, General Sinha was informed by the Defense Minister that the army should stand down and the task would be assigned to the local police.
हो गया
जी. Gurudwara Chowk Mehta was surrounded by Punjab police. Darbara Singh had sent 3 senior police officers to negotiate with Bhindrawale, who agreed to surrender on the afternoon of 20th of September. Santokh Singh, a close confidant of Indira Gandhi's and president of the DSGMC,
क्या मालूम, डिस्ट्रिक्ट सिख गुरुद्वारा मैनेजमेंट कमेटी करके बोल रहे
हाँ
हैं
हाँ
सर।
हाँ, and also was also present at Chowk Mehta that day. He made a very provocative speech before Bhindrawala's arrest. Just before the appointed time, Bhindrawala also made a speech which was highly critical of the Punjab government. This led to firing by his followers soon after his arrest. In the exchange of fire that followed, 7 persons were killed.
ओह,
Santo,
मतलब डायरेक्ट फायरिंग, मैं
हाँ
सोचता था।
हाँ,
ओह तेरी तो, संतोख
अरे ये
सिंह।
सब तो स्क्रिप्टेड चल रहा है. Santok Singh's presence and his provocative speech at Gurdwara Chowk Mehta were brought to the notice of the Prime Minister Gandhi by
ये
Prakash
संतोष सिंह
Singh
वही है ना
Babar.
जो भिंडर वाले के साथ में दूसरे को
हाँ
इन्होंने
हाँ हाँ,
वो पाला था, वही है ना ये? हाँ।
वही on 22nd of September when she visited Chandigarh to address an all-party meeting. मतलब इसको कराते रहो और मुझे बताते रहो ताकि लोग मतलब डरे हुए रहें और इन पे एक्शन लिया जाए. Bhindrawale was kept in detention in Firozpur jail for some time and was later temporarily taken to a canal rest house near Ludhiana. While spending some time in comfortable environments and after some casual and respectful casual and respectful interrogation, the investigating officer used the word Janab
और सर,
or sir before every question. Bhindrawale was released in less than a month on 15th of October 1981 क्योंकि पूरा काम खत्म नहीं हुआ था अभी. Home Minister Zail Singh made a statement in Parliament that as no incriminating evidence had been found against Bhindrawale, he was being released. There was considerable evidence to suggest that Bhindrawale's release was ordered by the Home Minister himself. However, a senior Congress politician from Punjab told Satish Jacob it was Mrs. Gandhi herself who actually ordered the son's release. This was confirmed by a family member of the president of the DSGMC who told Mark Tolley. Santokh Singh himself went and pleaded with Mrs. Gandhi for Bhindrawale's release, threatening that it would not be possible to keep the Delhi Gurudwara Management Committee loyal to the Congress if Bhindrawale was not set free.
ओके, दिस इज दिल्ली,
हाँ हाँ,
दिल्ली सिख गुरुद्वारा
दिल्ली
करके।
शिरोमणि गुरुद्वारा मैनेजमेंट कमेटी.
ओके, हाँ दिल्ली, दिल्ली, हाँ ठीक है, आगे।
Tully and Jacob wrote, by surrendering justice to petty political gains, the government itself created the augur. The augur, matlab Rakshas, who was to dominate the last years of Mrs. Gandhi and to shadow her until her death.
भस्मासुर,
Bhindrawale,
भस्मासुर,
hmm,
भस्मासुर हो गए।
जी. Bhindrawale's arrest from Chowk Mehta and his subsequent release, in fact, helped raised his profile as an important leader of the Sikh community in Punjab and granted him the status of a hero. Bhindrawale himself said after his release that the government had done more for him through his arrest than he could have achieved in years.
यस,
On the day
औरों को हीरो बना
Bhindrawale
दिया।
was, जी, जी. On the day Bhindrawale was arrested, 3 Sikhs on a motorcycle fired at Hindus in a marketplace in Jalandhar, killing 4 and injuring 12. The next day, 1 Hindu was killed and 13 people injured in a similar incident in Taran near Amritsar. 5 days later, a goods train was derailed near Amritsar. 2 other attempts were made to derail trains by tampering with the tracks. On 29th of September 1981, 5 members of the Dal Khalsa, including its newly elected head Gajendra Singh, hijacked Indian Airlines Flight 423 from Srinagar to Delhi and diverted it to Lahore, demanding Bhindrawale's release from jail. By now, the Dal Khalsa was openly demanding the creation of Khalistan. Therefore, the demand for the release of Bhindrawale created an impression that the organization which demanded Khalistan had close links with Bhindrawale. The hijacking ended with an operation by Pakistani commandos. All the 5 hijackers, including Gajendra Singh, were tried in Pakistan and sentenced to life. Following the hijacking, the government of India imposed a 10-year ban on the Dal Khalsa in 1982, which was lifted in 1992. After lying low for 15 years, the Dal Khalsa staged a political comeback in Punjab in 1998, which coincided with the so-called release of the 5 hijackers from prison in Pakistan. 2 of the 5, Tejinder Pal Singh and Satnam Singh, who were deported, were finally discharged from the case by a Delhi court in 2011. Gajendra Singh, as head of Dal Khalsa International, remains in exile in Pakistan. Santokh Singh, who had pleaded with Indira Gandhi for Bhindranwale's
लिव्स इन ना, अभी तक जिंदा है वो ना?
जी
ओके, अभी तक जिंदा है, तो जो वहां से गड़बड़ हो रही है तो ये भी करता होगा, वहां बैठा होगा ये बंदा। ओके।
जी Santokh Singh, who had pleaded with Indira Gandhi for Bhindranwale's release, was shot dead in Delhi on 21st of December 1981 in his car, allegedly by a rival Sikh politician. Santokh Singh was reportedly paying the legal fees for the killers facing trial in Gurbachan Singh's murder case. He also used to pay rupees 2,000 every month to the family of one of the accused, Ranjit Singh. Zail Singh and Rajiv Gandhi attended Santokh Singh's memorial service. A photograph from the event shows
एक मिनट दादा,
Zail Singh.
ये जो गुरबचन सिंह है, ये बच्चा निरंकारी का जो लड़का था छोटा वाला, उसको मारा था, उसके
हाँ
मर्डर
हाँ
केस करता था ना ये? ओके।
जी
हाँ।
Zail Singh and Rajiv Gandhi attended Santokh Singh's memorial service. A photograph from the event shows Zail Singh with Bhindranwale. However, Bhindranwale was not pleased to see the Home Minister. In his address to the congregation, he made an obvious reference to Zail Singh dyeing his beard, anathema to an orthodox Sikh. Anyone who has देखिए क्या बोल रहा है, anyone who has his face blackened and sandals hung around his neck and is made to sit backwards on a donkey is being punished because he has molested someone's sister or someone's mother. I'm surprised to see that some people here have blackened their own faces. I do not know whose sister they have molested. इससे बड़ा गाली क्या हो सकता है? Zail Singh apparently digested that insult as he felt Bhindranwale was still useful to him in Punjab and furthering the cause of Operation 2. जो गाली दे रहा है डायरेक्टली उसको भी बर्दाश्त कर रहा है कि भाई आगे का काम चालू रहे, अपना चलता रहे.
What he was up to, he wanted to become chief minister, तो इंदिरा जी बना देती चीफ मिनिस्टर, क्या क्या विकल्प था? चला जाता वहां पर, होम मिनिस्टर बन गया था यार. He was not having that ambition. होम मिनिस्टर नहीं बनना, सिर्फ चीफ मिनिस्टर बन के रहना है.
New R&AW missions. As mentioned earlier, a separate division to deal with Sikh extremism and its link with the Pakistan's ISI had been created at the RAW by end of 1980. Sometime in early 1981, Director RAW Santuk asked me to prepare and send proposals to the Ministry of External Affairs for the creation of several RAW stations in Indian missions, both embassies and consulates in West Europe and North America, US and Canada. These missions were to be located in areas where a sizable presence of
पता है इसको
with
omit करते हैं
these
क्या?
missions.
Omit करते हैं इसको.
जी
ये इंटरनल बातें बता रहे हैं ना, क्या करना है उसको. सिख डायस्पोरा, ये डायस्पोरा क्या करने का, रन रन कैसा चल रहा था, अपने को तो इससे मतलब है ना, जो एक मॉन्स्टर इन्होंने जो क्रिएट किया हुआ. ये पढ़ो.
Finally, by the end of 1981, we were ready to fill this post. Postings and special assignments had to be completed. मतलब कोई vacancy था. Officers had to be introduced to the director establishment, Ministry of External Affairs, before the induction into the Ministry of External Affairs. Things went smoothly till August 1982, and a couple of posts were filled without a hitch. Then a Sikh Foreign Service officer took over as director establishment at the Ministry of External Affairs. The first raw officer who was to be introduced to him happened to be from Maharashtra, who had little knowledge of Punjab affairs, not to speak of the Sikh diaspora and the perceived susceptibility to pro-Khalistan propaganda. So I
That means
personally
इसका deliberately done ना, महाराष्ट्र
जी
से लेकर के आगे बैठा दिया.
deliberately लाया गया ना.
हम्म.
So I personally briefed the officer before his meeting with the director establishment. Despite my briefing him, the officer concerned didn't feel confident about his knowledge when it came to being asked anything specific on the issue of Khalistan. That was exactly what happened. At the very outset, the director establishment asked whether the officer really believed there was a Khalistan issue that needed to be addressed in Punjab and how his posting to that particular station was going to help the department. It was a loaded question, and as expected, my colleague did not know how to address it. The director establishment then sought my views on the subject. conscious of the fact that what the director had asked my colleague was a valid question as to whether there was really a Khalistan issue at all, I defended my proposal. He was not convinced. Finally, I told him that the difference between the Ministry of External Affairs and RAW was, whereas Ministry of External Affairs comes to know about the problem when it starts appearing in the media, the raw becomes aware of the same at the conceptual stage itself. Naturally, he did not appreciate my cheeky answer. I told him that if he was confident, there was no such problem and there was no chance of its emergence in the near future. He should write so on the file, and I would gladly take my officer back. Obviously, he could not do that as he was aware of the special
हाँ, ओरल
circumstances.
करते रहते हैं ना ये लोग,
हाँ,
राइटिंग में नहीं देते ना ये लोग, यही है।
Gee, obviously he could not do that as he was aware of the special circumstances under which those posts were sanctioned. Later, I learned that there was a feeling in the Ministry of External Affairs at that time that the RAW was creating additional posts in Indian missions abroad, taking full advantage of the non-existent Khalistan issue. Much later, I apologized to the officer concerned for that cheeky answer, but little did I know at that time that the fast-moving developments resulting in Operation 2 would soon render my proposal prophetic. Gauging the mood of the Sikh diaspora. Meanwhile, it appeared the One Akbar Road group, including Indira Gandhi, were getting anxious to know about the impact of Operation 2 on the Sikh diaspora, especially in the US and Canada. As the RAW had still not managed to fill the newly sanctioned posts, and as the few officers who were already posted there were not in a position to cover large and distant areas of the US and Canada, Santuk asked me to visit those countries for about 10 days. My brief was to ascertain the diaspora's views on the developments taking place in Punjab and suggest measures to improve the situation. I left for Ottawa on or around 15th of December 1981, arrived the next day, and spent a couple of days there. I left for Vancouver on 18th of December before moving to Los Angeles on 22nd of December, from where I left for Tokyo on 24th of December en route to India. From Ottawa, I called my friends and contacts in Toronto, and from Los Angeles, my contacts in San Francisco, Yuba City, and Sacramento areas. I met my friends, contacts, and relatives wherever I went. The story was rather somewhat similar everywhere. Rather than being repetitive, I shall sum it up in my impressions of the visit towards the end of this chapter. In Ottawa, I met some of my old Sikh friends and contacts in addition to
एक
calling
मिनट
on the
आगे
Indian.
इसका समिंग अप देख लेते हैं। ये तो अभी क्या, ये तो कहानी सुना रहा है ना आगे। सम क्या किया इसने? ये है। जस्ट
हाँ,
यहाँ पे है एक
summing up is the
यहाँ
moderate Sikhs.
व्हाट आई
Name
गेट
one what I gathered at the end of my visit to Canada, which was to remain valid after my interactions with friends and relatives from the West Coast areas of the US, is summed up below. 1. The moderate Sikhs had gradually started losing control over the management of some of the older Gurudwaras in Toronto, Vancouver, and its suburbs, and in the San Francisco, Sacramento, and Yuba City areas of the US to Sikh hardliners. While they were trying to regain control of those Gurudwaras, the developments in Punjab had made their task difficult, if not impossible. 2. The peaceful, harmonious, and friendly relations which existed between the Hindu and Sikh segments of the local Punjabi population were getting vitiated because of the communal divide taking place in Punjab, in which the Indian press, especially from Punjab, divided on communal lines, was playing a significant part. The local Indian missions were also not doing anything to improve the situation. 3. Earlier, hardly anybody would mention the word Khalistan at social get togethers. It was almost taboo. But now, some persons were showing inquisitiveness and wanted to know why it had become a matter of debate in Punjab. Some of the more knowledgeable ones were a bit surprised at the way Bhindranwale was being patronized by some senior Congress leaders. 4. There was general concern and apprehension amongst the moderate Sikhs that if urgent corrective measures were not taken by the government of India and by Indian missions abroad, a minuscule minority of hardliners may sideline the silent majority and carry forward their anti-Sikh agenda. In that connection, my friends and contacts made the following suggestions. 1. Both the vernacular and national press in India needed to exercise restraint in their news coverage, which could help to maintain communal harmony in Punjab and among the Punjabi diaspora in the US and Canada. 2. The activities of Bhindranwale, who appeared to be enjoying political patronage, needed to be curbed and controlled. 3. Visits by US or Canada based pro Khalistan ideologues to India and specifically to Punjab needed to be stopped. 4. Senior Akali Dal leaders needed to be told that Granthis and Sevadars coming from Punjab had to be properly screened before they were sent to US and Canada for manning Gurudwaras to avoid spawning anti India sentiments in those countries. Some senior Congress 5. Some senior Congress and Akali Dal leaders needed to visit the areas openly and not quietly to meet local Punjabi immigrants to assure them that everything in Punjab was fine and that they would do everything possible to bring normalcy back to Punjab. 6. Indian missions located in their respective areas needed to hold or encourage joint meetings of prominent Hindus and Sikhs to restore mutual trust between the two communities. A note ignored. I left
ये
Los Angeles for Tokyo on Christmas Eve. After spending a day there, I returned to New Delhi on 26th of December 1981. Taking advantage of the long trans-Pacific flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo, I prepared a short note on my visit to the US and Canada. I met Santook on 27th of December and discussed with him the inputs I had gathered during my trip. He asked me to prepare a short one-page point-wise handwritten note and show it to Senior Advisor Kao the same afternoon. As directed, I prepared the note and handed it to Kao at his Rashtrapati Bhavan office. After going through the note carefully, to my surprise, he asked me to meet the Prime Minister's Principal Information Officer, H.Y. Sharda Prasad, and hand over the note to him. Until then, I had thought that the note was actually meant for the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister and that the government would finally do something to improve the situation on the ground, both in Punjab and in the US and Canada. ये काव भी कम बदमाश नहीं था. As directed by Kao, I called on Sharda Prasad at his office on the first floor of South Block, to the left of the corridor opposite the PM's office. He went through the note carefully but did not discuss its contents with me. All he said was, and then you can go. Managing the press and the media to project the right image of the Prime Minister and the government was his main job. In view of that, I thought he might brief the Indian press in his own way to exercise restraint and help restore normalcy in relations between Hindus and Sikhs in Punjab and those settled abroad. Unfortunately, that proved to be wishful thinking on my part. Gradually, the Indian media became even more virulent in their coverage of the communal divide in Punjab. The activities of Bhindranwale and Sikh extremists started gathering greater prominence and front page coverage even in the popular national newspapers. A well known editor of a major newspaper started writing lead articles on the editorial page blaming the Sikhs for nursing ambitions of re establishing the Khalsa Raj.
लीडिंग न्यूज़पेपर मालूम है कौन सा था?
स्टेट्समैन होगा और कौन होगा?
नहीं
यही
नहीं,
सब
दिल्ली
होगा.
वाला, दिल्ली वाले की बात कर रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, दिल्ली वाला होगा फिर.
यही बनिया
टाइम.
विनीत जैन वाला,
अच्छा अच्छा.
टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया.
हाँ, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया वही तो. हाँ. Negotiated solution, a prolonged charade. In a democratic country like India, where the government
वेट
is
करोगे?
elected.
5 मिनट वेट कर लो, देखते हैं पीछे कौन बैठ रहा है और कोई है क्या? Who is there? अच्छा, हम ही लोग हैं बस. प्रेम जी साहब आ रहे हैं शायद, देखें. नंदू साहब हैं. प्रेम जी साहब को बुला के थोड़ा सा सुन लेते हैं. आप अंदर आ जाओ. नमस्कार. चाय पिलाते हैं आपको यहाँ पे बिना दूध की. आ जाओ इधर. लिंक पिन करके रखा है, देख लो. आ जाओ आप. आपके मतलब का बात चल रहा है.
In a democratic country like India, where the government is elected by the people and supposed to be answerable to them for its performance, at least at the time of the next elections, it cannot afford to be totally oblivious to its responsibility towards the basic needs of its electorate. These include maintenance of law and order and peace and harmony, which in turn are so very essential for agricultural, industrial, and economic progress. The central government needed to be seen to be doing something about the unrest in the Punjab. Indira Gandhi thus expressed an interest in finding a negotiated solution to the Punjab problem, and simultaneously, she also let senior officials concerned know that if the situation called for it, she would not hesitate to use the elite commando unit, the Special Frontier Force, to pick up Bhindranwale from the Golden Temple complex and place him in confinement. Indira Gandhi and her government soon started making repeated and concerted efforts to enter into and pursue negotiations with the moderate Akali leadership led by Sant Harchand Singh Longwal. But in reality, the prolonged exercise was a charade, as each round, PC Alexander said there were a total of 26 rounds, as each round of negotiation ended without producing any results, with the uncooperative, adamant, incapable, or powerless moderate Akali leadership being usually blamed for its failure. When a solution was almost worked out and was acceptable to both sides, it was sabotaged at the last moment by suitably inducing Congress chief ministers of the neighboring two states, Haryana and Punjab.
क्या मतलब था यार?
अरे
ये
आगे बढ़ाना है ना, कहानी को आगे बढ़ाना है. Rajasthan, sorry, Haryana and Rajasthan to object. In other instances, previously approved decisions at the highest level, which had been shared with the Akali Dal delegation, were changed by Indira Gandhi overnight without ascribing any reason for doing so. In case the moderate Akali leadership, fed up with the protracted but fruitless negotiations with the government and worried about the consequences of the Bhindranwale-inspired escalation of violence in Punjab, decided on their own to withdraw their agitation. The government would use some of its carefully cultivated senior Akali
मतलब
leaders.
टेक पॉज प्रेम जी साहब.
नमस्कार दादा.
सर नमस्कार नमस्कार.
नमस्कार, चाय पिलाओ. आज तो दूध मिल गया होगा. आज तो दूध फटा नहीं होगा लगता है.
नहीं आज नहीं. गर्मी गर्मी काफी है लेकिन दूध नहीं फटा.
अच्छा. बारिश वारिश बंद हो गई उधर?
जारी जारी रखिएगा, आप जारी रखिएगा.
बारिश बंद हो गई कि नहीं? अरे मैं दादा को डिलिबरेटली थोड़ा सा उनकी क्या बोलते हैं, बहुत देर से पढ़ रहे हैं तो उनकी जबान को थोड़ा सा लगाम देना चाहता हूँ.
नहीं बारिश नहीं है लेकिन गर्मी काफी है दादा. एक्सट्रीमली हॉट है, बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी है, कोई हवा नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन बारिश नहीं है.
यहाँ आ जाओ, यहाँ आ जाओ.
अब यहाँ कैसे आए बिना काम के? यहाँ कैसे चलेगा?
ये भी बात सही है.
हाँ जी,
मैं बोल रहा हूँ ये भी बात सही है आपका, बिना काम का कैसे आएंगे आप?
लेकिन बात ये भी है ना कहीं दिल में हिंदुस्तान भी बसता है. वो कहते हैं कि सारे जहां से अच्छा है हिंदुस्तान.
जी जी जी.
ठीक है, आगे चलो दादा. इसको
would use some of its carefully cultivated senior Akali leaders to sabotage their efforts. An interesting part of this strategy was that while the so-called search for a negotiated solution was on, the governments, both central and state, continued to ignore, if not encourage, Bhindranwale's extremist activities, with the Punjab police totally confused, if not paralyzed. Those like DIG Avtar Singh Atwal, who dared challenge Bhindranwale, were eliminated by him, sending a signal to the rest that they had better behave to avoid a similar fate. DIG Atwal was murdered on 25th of April 1983 as he emerged after paying obeisance at the Golden Temple.
क्या बुरी हालत में मारा था? प्रेम जी बोलेंगे इसके बारे में, कैसे मारा था इसको बेचारा.
From the middle of 1982, Kao was allowed to plan SFF-led commando operations to grab Bhindranwale from 3 different locations: Chowk Mehta, Guru Nanak Niwas, and the Golden Temple complex. This gave an impression to Indian agencies, the officers and staff members, that Prime Minister Gandhi was actually very serious about putting an end to the whole affair by grabbing Bhindranwale from his known hideouts. But when the SFF was finally ready to launch such an operation in April 1984, see Chapter 8, Indira Gandhi aborted it on the plea that she could not afford the possible civilian casualties that might result. That estimated loss was a fraction of the horrific losses caused by Operation Blue Star, launched within 2 months of that decision. Talk begins. While Bhindranwale was still in detention in the Lala Jagat Naran murder case, the Akali Dal leadership had, in September 1981, submitted to the government a list of 45 demands, segmented under 4 categories: religious, political, economic, and social. The first of the many rounds of talks between the government and senior Akali Dal leaders was held on 16th of October 1981, one day after Bhindranwale was exonerated of the murder charge and released from detention. Incidentally, Zail Singh made a statement on 15th of October 1981 that Bhindranwale was being released in Jagat Narayan's murder case as no incriminating evidence was found against him. The meeting was held in the Prime Minister's office in Parliament House. The Akali Dal was represented by Harchand Singh Longwal, Prakash Singh Badal, Gurcharan Singh Tora, Surjit Singh Barnala, and Balwant Singh. Indira Gandhi was assisted by Cabinet Secretary C.R. Krishna Swami Rao Sahib, a Principal Secretary P.C. Alexander, and Home Secretary T.N. Chaturvedi. In the meanwhile, the Akalis had reduced their original 45 demands presented to the government in September 1981 to 15. One of the demands was the release.
यहाँ तक डिस्कस कर लेना चाहिए, otherwise it's going to be too long. People won't be understand the
जी
next
जी
on the
जी
further
इसका
discussion.
इसका इसका लास्ट यहाँ तक गोल्डन टेम्पल एक्सप्रेस पढ़ लेते हैं, उसके बाद शुरू करते हैं फिर। हाँ, Bhindranwale इसको पूरा कर लो।
Release of Bhindranwale, which
हाँ,
had become infructuous, and he had already been released. देखिए, which had become infructuous as he had already been released. The religious demands included permission for Sikhs to carry the kirpan, a short curved dagger, on domestic and international flights, passing of an All India Gurdwara Act, grant of Holy City status to Amritsar, installation of a radio station at Harmandir Sahib in the Golden Temple complex for live broadcast of Kirtan, and renaming of the flying train as Golden Temple Express.
अब ठीक है।
Flying mail, अच्छा।
हाँ, वो उसको किया था शायद, वो जो बम्बई से चलती है ना दिल्ली वाली,
हाँ,
मुंबई से वहां पे फिरोजपुर जाती है, कहाँ जाती है वो, ऐसे ही उसको गोल्डन टेम्पल बोलते हैं ना आजकल। हाँ प्रेम जी शुरू करो।
क्या सवाल था दादा?
नहीं, आप आगे बोल रहे थे ना कि डिस्कस कर लेते हैं फिर आगे चलते हैं।
हाँ, मैं अटवाल से शुरू करूंगा।
हाँ,
अटवाल को डे लाइट में मारा गया था और डीआईजी अटवाल साहब को 3 दिन तक उनकी लाश पड़ी रही, ऑलमोस्ट 60 आवर्स। कोई उठाने नहीं आया था।
मैं उस समय दिल्ली में था
और उनके ऊपर कई तरह के ब्लेम किए गए कि उन्होंने ये किया था। उसका ये था कि उस मूवमेंट के साथ नहीं जुड़ रहा था। उसके ऊपर रेप के और किडनैपिंग के काफ़ी इन्होंने लगाया कि उसने एक लड़की के साथ गांव में ऐसा किया था, लेकिन ये सब कुछ झूठ था। वो 1983 को गुरुद्वारा साहब में मत्था टेकने आया था और उसको एक जाहिल गंवार से, जो पट्टी गांव पड़ता है तरन तारण के पास, वहाँ का था वो, उसने गोली मारी थी। और इसके बाद कहीं भी, जितना आपने पढ़ा है, इसमें भी कहीं भी बलजीत कौर का नाम नहीं आया।
हो सकता है आगे आ जाए, अभी तक तो नहीं आया, देखेंगे।
तो इसमें आ जाना चाहिए था। बलजीत कौर जो थी, बलजीत कौर भी वहीं रहती थी। और इसमें जो भाई रिशपाल सिंह सीगे ना, सॉरी हिंदी पंजाबी मिक्स हो जाती है।
नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, हम लोग समझ लेते हैं सर।
भाई रिछपाल जो थे ना, अमरीक और भाई रिछपाल सिंह, रिछपाल की जो बीवी थी वो ऑलरेडी वहीं पे रहती थी रामनिवास में। अगर आप जाओ ना लेफ्ट में 121 नंबर रूम पड़ता है, तो परमजीत कौर भी वहीं पे रहती थी। जहाँ यहाँ भिंडरा वाले आए, उनकी शादी की बात भाई रिछपाल से चलाई उन्होंने। और एक बड़ी कहावत है कि इसके जो परमजीत कौर का जो 6 महीने का बेटा था वो शहीद हुआ था। लेकिन मैं गला फाड़ फाड़ के सब प्लेटफॉर्म के बोलता हूँ कि शी शुड हैव बीन चार्ज अंडर मर्डर। क्यों वो वहाँ 6 महीने के बच्चे को, जहाँ गोलियां चल रही है, उसने अपने बच्चे को आगे कर दिया? उस पर मर्डर का चार्ज कर देना चाहिए था उसको। और फिर विडंबना देखिए कि ये जो औरत है, ये एक जिसने थंडर ब्लैक जो किया था ना, XMLA, उसके साथ ही शादी कर लेती है अपने पति की मरने के बाद। और इसका दूसरा बेटा होता है, ये मेरे इलाके से आती है, दूसरा बेटा उससे होता है। तो दूसरे बेटे का आजकल कनाडा में पढ़ रहा है, इंजीनियरिंग कर रहा है, फाइनल में है टोरंटो में। लेकिन ये अमृतपाल को कैसे पंप देती है कि अमृतपाल, आज तुझे देख के मुझे ये लगा कि मेरा जो छोटा बेटा था ना, वो वापस आ गया।
वापस आ गया।
सही है, लेकिन बड़े बेटे का कहीं जिक्र नहीं करती जो प्रेजेंट है। तो ऐसे ही एक लोग कैश करते हैं। अब अमर जो बलजीत कौर थी, उसको फोर्डी ने कैसे मर्डर किया, उसके प्राइवेट पार्ट में रॉड डाली गई, उसके ब्रेस्ट को इन्होंने कैसे काटा। तो ये टोटली अमानवीय था, जो इसमें कहीं भी नहीं लिखा गया। इससे भी बदतर हालात थे वहां पे। चलो जी, बोलिएगा।
बाप रे।
अब मुझे एक बात बताइएगा कि भाई अमरीक सिंह एजुकेटेड पर्सन थे, जो राइट हैंड थे इसके जाहिल के, भिंडरा वाले के, टेररिस्ट के। अब जब गवर्नमेंट 3 दिन पहले ऐलान करती है कि भाई जिसको निकलना है निकल जाइएगा, जब उसका
जी,
परिवार निकल सकता है वहाँ से, सब परिवार निकले हैं वहाँ से, आप देख सकते हैं। और मेरे बुजुर्ग, मेरे दादा वहाँ थे, वो बताते हैं कि 3 दिन पहले अनाउंसमेंट की गई थी कि अगर आपको यहाँ से निकलना है, यू आर सेफ, यू कैन लीव एनी टाइम, कोई गोली नहीं चलेगी। लोग निकले हैं, लेकिन वो और कॉन्फिडेंट इतना था भिंडरा वाला, उसको यही नहीं पता था कि यहाँ पे सेना, यहाँ पे मिलिट्री जो थी, यहाँ पे अटैक की करेगी। उसको इसका पता ही नहीं था। वो इतना, मतलब ये कह देते हैं कि उसको जैसे पेड़ पे चढ़ा दिया था लोगों ने, अनपढ़ जाहिल को। और दूसरा जो ट्रैप था वो समझ नहीं पाया, वो था सुबेग सिंह, जनरल सुबेग सिंह। भाई मेरी बात सुनिए, सुबेग सिंह ने शपथ ली है देश के प्रति कि देश को कैसे बचाना है। जब वो पाकिस्तान में जाके बांग्लादेश बना सकता है, जब वो असम में जाके नागालैंड मूवमेंट की इंसर्जेंसी को ठंडा कर सकता है उस बंदा, तो क्या वो इंदिरा गांधी के कहने से हरमिंदर साहब नहीं आएगा? ये ट्रैप था। तो सुबेग सिंह की जो सारी फैमिली है वो अब तक मिलिट्री में सर्व कर रही है, उसका बेटा मिलिट्री में है, सारी फैमिली मिलिट्री में थी। और उसके बावजूद इसको कैसे फंसाया गया बेवकूफ़ को, अनपढ़ जाहिल को, कि सुबेग सिंह को तो बताया था कैसे करना। अब ये देखिए, जब ब्लू क्रॉस ओवर हो जाता है, ख़त्म हो जाता है, भिंडरा वाला, अमरीक सिंह, रिछपाल, जितने भी जाहिल थे, सबको यहाँ पे अमेरिका में टोरंटो में बैठा है वो बंदा जिसने इनको मिट्टी का तेल डाल के जलाया था। हाँ, वो उसका इंटरव्यू पड़ा है यूट्यूब पे, मैं लिंक शेयर कर दूंगा। तो इनको तो मिट्टी का तेल डाल के जला दिया, क्योंकि अगर इनको ना जलाते, इन्होंने गुरुद्वारे बना के वहाँ पे मत्थे खसाने थे, है ना। तो इनको, लेकिन आपने कभी ये नोट किया कि सुबेग सिंह का जो संस्कार होता है उस पर वही तोपों की सलामी और वही, मतलब ये आप समझते हैं इस बात को?
जी जी, आप सही बोल रहे हैं।
तो सुबेग सिंह को वही राष्ट्रीय संस्कार, मतलब वो मिलता है सम्मान, लेकिन इन लोगों को मिट्टी का तेल। लेकिन ये लोग समझ नहीं पाए हो क्या रहा है। तो ये कॉन्स्पिरेसी जो थी ये बहुत बड़ी थी, ये लोग समझ नहीं पाए। अब ये देखिए, 1981 में इलेक्शन होता है कांग्रेस का, और मिस्टर भिंडरा वाला वो इसकी वो करता है जाके तरन तारण में, स्टेज पे बोलता है कांग्रेस की तरफ से, लेकिन अचानक, बिल्कुल कन्विंसिंग करता है, लेकिन अचानक ही जैसे क्षेत्रीय पार्टियां वो आगे आती हैं, उनको पता है कि इसको कैसे टैकल करना है। उसको दूसरी तरह यूज़ कर लेती हैं। तो ये जो था एक सारा ट्रैप था, इसमें रेप, मर्डर सब कुछ था। हरमिंदर साहब में सब कुछ हुआ है, रेप भी हुआ है, मर्डर भी हुए हैं, हर कॉन्सिक्वेंस। वहाँ पे रॉबरी करके आते थे लोग, ठेके लूट के आते हैं, ज्वेलर को लेकर के आते हैं। अभी भाई ने ये पढ़ रहा था, भाई ने जो पंजाब केसरी के संपादक थे ना, उनका मर्डर जब हुआ था,
लाला जगत नारायण का, हाँ,
क्या नाम था,
लाला जगत
लाला
नारायण।
जगत नारायण का, पंजाब के, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, उनका जो इसीलिए किया गया था मर्डर कि लोगों में जो टेरर फैलाना है, लोगों को ये दिखाना है कि भाई आप फ्रीडम जो प्रेस है वो यहाँ नहीं चलेगी। वो सिर्फ सच्चाई लिखता था ना।
जी
और
जी
उसके बाद डॉक्टर संधू का मर्डर होता है। और फिर आप उस मर्डर के बाद अभी आपने जिक्र किया टोरा का और लंगोवाल का और इसका, ये तो 5 दिन पहले इनको, क्योंकि सारी इंफॉर्मेशन यही तो देते थे कांग्रेस को, क्योंकि पाँव नहीं लगते थे। तो 5 दिन पहले ही अपने आप को सेडिशन चार्ज के अंडर अपने आप को कैद करवा लेते हैं, जेल में चले जाते हैं। तो ये क्योंकि जेल से अच्छी जगह, सेफ जगह कोई नहीं थी।
जी जी
और जैसे ही सेडिशन के अंतर्गत इनको अंदर डालते हैं, 4-5 दिन में सफाया हो जाता है, फिर ये लोग बाहर आ जाते हैं। मुझे ये नहीं पता कि इनको लोगों की परौल हुई थी या ये लोग बरी हुए, कैसे ये लोग अंदर बाहर आते हैं।
केसी
तो
वापस ले लिए होंगे ना।
पता नहीं कैसे, मतलब सेडिशन चार्जेस कोई सीरियस चार्ज है, कोई ऐसा नहीं है।
अरे उस समय तो मैडम कुछ भी कर सकती थी साहब। आगे है वो, उसके बारे में जो आप बोल रहे हो ना, है वो ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार जब शुरू होगा उसमें है वो, उसके थोड़ा आगे पढ़ते
चलो
हैं।
पढ़िएगा जी।
हाँ।
The political and economic demands included devolution of some central powers to Punjab as per the provisions of the Anandpur Sahib resolution, merger of Punjabi-speaking areas of the neighbouring states into Punjab, license for opening a new bank under Sikh management, and remunerative prices for agricultural produce by linking them to the price index of industrial production. In addition, the transfer of Chandigarh, joint capital of Punjab and Haryana, to Punjab was a major issue. The meeting of 16th of October took up only the religious demands and the transfer of Chandigarh to Punjab. P.C. Alexander wrote in his memoirs, the political and economic demands were never raised at the talks, and in fact faded out of the agenda during subsequent discussions as well. The talks were held in a cordial atmosphere, and the Akali leaders were assured by Indira Gandhi that their demands, particularly the religious ones, would be given urgent consideration. While the meeting was going on in Delhi on 16th of October, Sikh militants attacked Niranjan Singh, an IS officer of the Punjab cadre, and his brother in the Punjab Government Secretariat complex in Chandigarh. Niranjan Singh escaped with serious injuries, but his brother succumbed. On 23rd of October, Mohinder Pal, a Hindu Sarpanch of Panchta village in Kapurthala district, was shot dead. On 14th of November, a bomb explosion took place in the office of the DIG Patiala, the target being DIG DS Mangat, who had been sent by Chief Minister Darbara Singh to arrest Bhindranwale from the village of Chando Kalan in Haryana. On 19th of November, a police party was attacked in the village of Daheru in Ludhiana district, and one inspector and a constable were killed. This marked the beginning of Bhindranwale's targeting policemen or government officials who stood in any way up to him, who had in any way stood up to him. It was in this environment of escalating violence that Indira Gandhi held the second of 3 rounds of talks with Akali leaders on 26th of November 1981 at a Parliament House office. The same Akali leaders who had attended the first round of talks attended this meeting too. In addition to the 3 senior civil servants who had attended the previous round, External Affairs Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao also attended this meeting. Replying to the demand made by the Akali delegation on 16th of October, the Prime Minister explained that since pilgrimage cities such as Varanasi and Kurukshetra did not have any formal special status, no such formal recognition could be granted to Amritsar. Regarding the sale of liquor and tobacco in Amritsar, she said that rather than ban them in the whole city, limited area restrictions could be imposed by the local authorities similar to those in Haridwar and Kurukshetra.
Drama. He wanted to escalate the problem up to 1982
हाँ
ना.
हाँ
क्या तमाशा है यार. ये इनको
referring to
मालूम नहीं पड़ रहा था ये अकालियों को कि क्या कर रहे हैं क्या नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये औरत क्या कर रही है.
referring to the demand for live broadcast of Kirtan and Gurbani from Harmandir. Sir, Sahib, she said no private party could be given a license to it, but arrangements could be made through All India Radio Jalandhar, for which requisite space in the Golden Temple complex would need to be provided by the SGPC. Regarding permission to carry the Kirpan on Air India and Indian Airlines flights, she said Air India was bound by rules applicable to all international carriers and hence no exception could be made. However, the Kirpan could be carried on domestic Indian Airlines flights provided its size was reduced. On the demand for an All India Gurdwara Act to cover all historical Gurdwaras throughout India, she said that it could be considered in consultation with the management of the concerned Gurudwaras outside Punjab. The Akalis, however, dropped their demand for renaming the Flying Mail, as it was pointed out that it would be impossible to stop passengers from smoking, and the notoriety of the train running mostly late would not be conducive to a name sacred to the Sikhs. गाड़ी ट्रेन लेट चलती थी ना.
अरे भाई क्या बेवकूफ बनाया मैडम ने. वाओ. मतलब मैंने देखा फ्रंटियर में लोग अभी जब भी अब तो नहीं, पहले तो आराम से सिगरेट पीते थे बैठ करके बर्थ में. गोल्डन टेम्पल नाम पड़ गया था उस समय तो उसका.
In the end, the Akalis raised the issue of revising the unfavorable formula announced in 1976 for the sharing of Bias and Ravi rivers between Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan. Indira Gandhi said that she herself was looking into the problem of equitable sharing of river waters and that discussions were already underway between the centre and the concerned state governments. P.C. Alexander wrote, "We got the impression that the Akalis were fairly satisfied with the assurances given by the Prime Minister, and we sincerely thought that the Akali leadership would not opt for a confrontation with the government. But it soon became clear that the moderate leadership of Akali party was fast losing its grip over the agitation, and the militant sections of the community were no longer under the control of the Akali triumvirate." Alexander's observation is rather interesting. On the one hand, the One Akbar group was gradually eroding the hold of the moderate Akali Dal leaders over the peaceful agitation by encouraging and overlooking Bhindranwale's extremism and violence. On the other hand, they were telling the Akali moderates to regain their hold over the agitation before their demands were accepted. It was a catch-22 situation for the moderate Akali leadership, but they had to continue their efforts if they were to remain relevant to the political and religious scene of Punjab. From the point of view of the One Akbar Road group, the negotiation process was going in the right direction, meaning that a certain section of Sikhs in Punjab was gradually losing faith in the ability of the moderate Akalis to protect their interests, thereby lending credibility to Bhindranwale's propaganda that moderate Akalis were incapable of protecting Sikh interests. It was just the beginning, though. Following the second round of talks with the Akalis, Punjab Chief Minister Darbara Singh was asked by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to withdraw the case filed in the Supreme Court by Prakash Singh Badal's government on the sharing of river waters between Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan. On 31st of December 1981, a river water sharing agreement was signed by the chief ministers of these states, all from the Congress, in the Prime Minister's office. The Akalis felt the agreement was highly unfavorable to Punjab and that Chief Minister Darbara Singh had been coerced into signing it. This gave the Akalis an issue to fight for. To carry Haryana's share, the Satluj-Yamuna link canal was to be dug, and it was to pass through some parts of Punjab. To avoid a confrontation with the Akalis on this issue, Indira Gandhi invited them for a third and last round of talks with her personally on 5th of April 1982, which lasted for over 2.5 hours. Zail Singh, still the Union Home Minister, attended the meeting for the first time, though he remained silent throughout. Pranab Mukherjee, the Union Finance Minister, was also present. Cabinet Secretary Krishnamaswamy Rao Sahib, Home Secretary T.N. Chaturvedi and P.C. Alexander were also in attendance. The Akali delegation comprised Longwal Badal Tora, Balwant Singh, Bhan Singh, P.S. Oberoi, and Ravi Inder Singh. As expected, the Akalis vehemently criticized the December 1981 agreement on the sharing of river waters and questioned the intention of the government in withdrawing the case filed by the previous Akali government. The Prime Minister tried to assuage their feelings by promising that she would do her best to find other ways to compensate Punjab, but this failed to convince the Akalis. They raised some other issues related to discrimination against Sikhs. These included reduction of recruitment of Sikhs to the Indian Army, harassment of Sikh farmers in the Tarai region of Uttar Pradesh, and denial of second language status to Punjabi language in the states of Himachal, Haryana, and Rajasthan. The Akalis were not convinced with the facts and figures presented at the meeting to counter the allegations. Soon afterwards, they announced that the talks had failed and they would organize a mass protest at the site on the date of inauguration of work on the Satluj Yamuna link canal by Indira Gandhi. Armed and dangerous. Despite the ban imposed by the Punjab government on possession of arms, not only was Bhindranwale openly moving around in Punjab with a posse of armed men, he also visited Delhi in the first week of April 1982 at the invitation of Santokh Singh, president of the Congress-controlled Delhi Shiromani
Shiromani
Gurudwara
Gurudwara.
Management Committee. Bhindranwale was accompanied by two busloads of his followers, who were seen in the capital with armed men sitting on the roof of a bus. On that day, I was to go to Connaught Place for some work. My car was stopped at Baba Khadak Singh Marg by the police, as a procession led by Bhindranwale had to be made way for. To ensure that nobody missed Bhindranwale's presence in the bus, it was being announced on loudspeaker that the public would have darshan of Sant Bhindranwale ji, who was sitting on the left side front seat of the bus and was clearly visible to bystanders. The procession then proceeded towards the inner circle of Connaught Place. Given his notoriety, it seemed that this was being done to build his stature among Sikhs and instill fear in the minds of Hindus in Delhi. By the end of that month, the situation in Punjab had deteriorated to such an extent that the parliament passed a resolution expressing deep anguish and concern. Participating in the debate in the Rajya Sabha, Sikh member and senior leader of the CPIM, Harkishan Singh Surjit, accused the Congress of organizing Bhindranwale's visit to Delhi. I want to tell the House that he, Bhindranwale, gets protection from both the Akalis and the Congress. I want to tell you that if these political parties, for their narrow interests, allow these persons to poison the whole atmosphere, you cannot keep communal peace in the state. The date of 8th of April 1982 was fixed for the inauguration work on the Satluj Yamuna link canal by the Prime Minister. To avert any untoward incident, the ceremony was held at the village of Karpuri at 11 a.m., 4 hours ahead of the scheduled time. As a result, it passed off peacefully. Following that, the Akalis launched their Nahar Roko Morcha on 24th of April 1982 in Karpuri. 2 days later, on 26th of April, two severed heads of cows were found hanging in two different temples in
बाप
Amritsar.
रे वो
कितना ये लोग आगे बढ़ सकते हैं, देखिए
उफ उफ
किस हद तक जा सकते हैं सब. The Dal Khalsa claimed responsibility. Though the intention was to instigate Hindu-Sikh clashes, it did not have the desired effect, as the cow is as sacred to the Sikhs, especially to those in rural areas, as to the Hindus. The only difference is that Sikhs don't consider the cow an object of worship. It appears this operation was planned by
सिंह
someone
साहब
in Delhi.
सिंह साहब ये काउकू लड़का या ये कौन है, कुछ पता है या ऐसे गेस कर रहा था हम लोग? आया बात समझ में?
क्या बोलो?
अब जो भी लटका हो, अब यहाँ तो लेकर आ कि दल खालसा क्लेम रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी.
दल खालसा ने क्लेम किया ना रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी उसकी, मतलब दैट
अच्छा
वाज
अच्छा
दल खालसा, मतलब बिडर वाले ने ही किया था जिससे कि हिंदू लोग भड़क जाए, लेकिन वो भड़के नहीं, क्योंकि सरदार लोग भी तो गाय का उतना ही वो करते हैं ना, सिख लोग भी उतना ही
हाँ
उसका
ये
करते हैं,
यही
क्या नहीं
मैं
करते वो लोग।
इसलिए मैं बोला, क्योंकि कुछ ही दिन
अरे वो
पहले ही हम लोग ने
जियाउल हक
भगत
बैठा
सिंह
था ना
के
कुत्ता उधर की तरफ को, वहां से वो कह रहा होगा ये कर दो वो कर दो, ऐसा ही पूरा पूरा इनको गाइड कर रहा होगा उधर से।
हम्म। अच्छा ये पीसी अलेक्जेंडर वही है ना, वो हमारा केरल का, वो लास्ट टाइम मुंबई का
हाँ हाँ हाँ
गवर्नर था?
हाँ सेम सेम गवर्नर था
जी
वहां
जी.
का, मुंबई वाला वही।
ओके
It appears this operation was planned by someone sitting in New Delhi.
कौन था भाई वो? कमलनाथ था?
Who did not fully understand the Sikh psyche and executed through an organization originally raised by Zail Singh and others. However, on 1st of May 1982, the government declared the Dal Khalsa and Jagjit Singh Chauhan's National Council of Khalistan unlawful. Was this done to publicly distance the Congress from the embarrassing misdeeds of its own creation, the Dal Khalsa? After this declaration, 4 persons were killed.
दादा ये जो अभी जिक्र आया ना बंदे का,
जी
चौहान का जो
जी जी
जिक्र
जी.
आया ना, सॉरी टू बॉदर यू,
No
ये वही
problem at all,
बंदा
sir.
है जो
Please.
हाँ जो कनिष्का का जिसको हाईजैक किया था ना प्लेन को,
जी जी जी.
उसका मेन हीरो यही बंदा था।
अच्छा अच्छा.
और ये
कल हम लोगों ने
हथियार
पढ़ा
बना
है
हुआ है
साहब, ये बंदा तो वहीं पर था, पंजाब में तो था, मिनिस्टर भी था ये।
हाँ, लेकिन जो कनिष्का का जो हुआ था ना वो कांड, वो इसी ने करवाया था।
हाँ हाँ वो बात है। 82 में ये बंदा गया था वहां पर यूएस में, रिपब्लिकन पार्टी ने बुलाया था मिलने के लिए, उस समय रीगन वहां पर, रोनाल्ड रीगन वहां पर प्रेसिडेंट था, और उसके बाद में फिर इसने यूके में जाकर के अपना पूरा पूरा इस्टेब्लिश किया था, और ही वाज कमिंग टू इंडिया, नो एक्शन वाज टेकन अगेंस्ट हिम बाय द गवर्नमेंट। हमने पहले पढ़ा है इसको, कल पढ़ा था ये।
जी
हाँ, कांग्रेस ने इसको एग्जेप्शन दी थी।
मतलब मास्टरमाइंड यही थे कनिष्का हाईजैकिंग के.
यही मास्टरमाइंड यही था भाई।
नहीं था कनिष्का हाईजैकिंग, नहीं कनिष्का बॉम्बिंग है, वो तो उड़ी गया था ना,
बॉम्बिंग. हाँ हाँ, उड़ गया था, पानी में गिर गया था, समुंदर में.
अटलांटिक में गिर गया।
बॉम्बिंग का मास्टरमाइंड यही था।
हाँ हाँ, वैंकूवर से दिल्ली का था, कहाँ का फ्लाइट था वो, ऐसे कुछ था। हाँ, आगे चलो दादा।
After this declaration, 4 persons were killed and several injured when 4 Sikh militants opened fire in the main bazaar in the town of Patti near Amritsar. This was followed by 2 incidents on 27th of June. In the first, 3 Sikh militants riding a motorcycle fired on 3 Hindus in Amritsar. In the second, the propaganda secretary of the Nirankari Mandal, Joginder Singh Sant, was fired upon and injured in Dhabuji village in the Amritsar district. On 19th of July, the police arrested the president of All India Sikh Students Federation, Amrik Singh, son of Bhindranwale's guru and predecessor, Kartar Singh, and Thara Singh, who was Bhindranwale's second in command. On on the 21st of July, a rickshaw puller was killed and 5 others were injured in Moga when Sikh militants hurled a bomb in the main bazaar. On the day Amrit Singh and Thara Singh were arrested, Bhindranwale shifted to the safety of Guru Nanak Niwas. To avoid arrest, he also launched a morcha for their release. Meanwhile, the Nahar Roko Morcha was receiving a lukewarm response from the Sikh masses as it was not launched from a Gurudwara. So the Morcha was renamed Dharam Yudh Morcha and shifted to the Golden Temple. To attract wider attention to his demand, Bhindranwale merged his own Morcha with Dharam Yudh Morcha. Now they're talking about the Dhanam Yudh Morcha. The Dhanam Yudh Morcha was officially launched on 4th of August 1982 with Badal leading the first batch of 300 Satyagrahis. They were arrested soon after they left the Golden Temple complex. That morcha was conducted in a very civilized manner, and it became a daily routine for the next 2.5 months. सर आगे बढ़ते हैं सर. Moderate Akalis were still in control of the situation, and Harchand Singh Longwal never missed an opportunity to chide anyone who raised slogans in favor of demands not on the Akali Dal agenda. Kuldeep Nair, in his autobiography, writes that he attended one of these congregations. When a slogan was raised for Khalistan, Longwal not only condemned it, but also said that those who raised the slogan were agents of the Congress party and the Akalis were strongly opposed to it.
इसका उसने वो उठाया ना, मतलब इसको मारा ना बाद में लोंगोवाल को, इसीलिए.
जी. Moderate Akalis, within a period of 2 months, 30,000 Satyagrahis were arrested. The jails were full and makeshift arrangements had to be made. On 11th of September, when the police were escorting some detainees to jail, 34 of the detainees died when the bus carrying them ran into a train. The morcha had caught the imagination of the Sikh peasantry, and there was no dearth of Satyagrahis, according to Kuldeep Nair. But the senior Akali leaders were getting worried that the religious frenzy generated by the morcha might encourage Bhindranwale to take control of it and change its direction towards extremism. Very soon, differences arose between Longwal and Bhindranwale over the nature and scope of the morcha. Bhindranwale wanted to target the central government, but Longwal was opposed to that. The Akalis realized that Bhindranwale's style of functioning as well as his approach were dangerous to their cause, but they did not have the courage to take a stand against him openly. In order to remain relevant to the Punjab scene and retain the support among the Sikhs, the Akali Dal leadership was being forced to adopt a more aggressive stance on various issues, which they actually did not like. Worried that Bhindranwale would hijack their peaceful program, the Akalis decided that the next program would be announced from the Golden Temple on 4th of November 1982. It was mainly due to the predicament the Akalis found themselves in vis-a-vis Bhindranwale that Longwal sent a personal messenger to Sardar Swaran Singh sometime towards the end of September 1982, seeking his help in getting them out of the sticky situation they were in. They wanted Swaran Singh to use his well-known negotiating skills to work out a face-saving formula which could help them withdraw their morcha and in turn build pressure on Bhindranwale to leave the Golden Temple complex and return to his Gurdwara Chowk Mehta. Swaran Singh's intervention. After getting his MSc in Physics and Law degrees from Punjab University, Lahore, and after a brief stint as lecturer in Lalpur Khalsa College, Jalandhar, Swaran Singh joined Khizr Hayat Khan's cabinet in Punjab in 1946 as Food and Civil Supplies Minister. Post-independence, he served as Home Minister in Gopi Chand Bhargava's cabinet in Punjab. After practicing law for 3 years, 1949 to 1952 at Punjab High Court, he joined Bhim Sen Sachar's cabinet in 1952 as Minister in charge of capital projects and electricity. Soon after that, on Prime Minister निखिल जी, गुरु जी,
जी दादा,
बोल रहा हूँ कि देख रहे हैं सर किस तरह मतलब जहाँ जहाँ रुकावट आ रही है तो इसको बढ़ाया जा रहा है फिर ताकि इनका एजेंडा जी सर
इनका एजेंडा सुनकर देख कर हम निशब्द हो जाते हैं कि हम तो आज ऑडिट कर रहे हैं जो जिन पर ये बीती हुई है घटना, मतलब उनके साथ क्या हो रहा होगा और ये कितना कॉन्स्पिरेसीज किया है मैडम जी ने, और उसके बाद कॉन्स्पिरेसी करने वाली जो कम्युनिटी है। किंतु कुछ एक बात थोड़ा पॉजिटिव भी लगी कि हमारे समाज में थोड़ा समझदारी उस समय भी थी, तो उसने
जी
होल्ड
जी
करा
जी,
हुआ है।
ये
ये
भी,
बात
हाँ,
भी
ये पढ़कर भी समझ में आ रहा है। Soon after, soon after
आफ्टर
that,
कटिंग एज, हाँ ये
on Prime Minister Nehru's invitation, he joined the Union Cabinet as Works, Housing and Supplies Minister 1952 to 1957. He also served as Minister in charge of Steel, Mines and Fuel, Railways, Food and Agriculture and Industries. Nehru was his own foreign minister and therefore needed assistance at a political level. Because of Swaran Singh's well-known negotiating skills, Nehru started utilizing his services for some important Ministry of External Affairs related assignments, including negotiations with China, Pakistan, and other neighboring countries. Most notable among these assignments were the several rounds of talks
एक मिनट असाइनमेंट वाज
which
सेवरल राउंड ऑफ,
Swaran
हाँ
Singh held with the then Pakistani Foreign Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in 1962 to 63, even though Swaran Singh, was Minister for Railways at that time. Lal Bahadur Shastri later appointed Swaran Singh as External Affairs Minister, which portfolio he handled in two spells, interspersed by two spells as Defence Minister. In the parliamentary elections of 1977, the Congress had faced a complete rout in the north as a result of the anti-emergency wave. My father-in-law, Sardar Swaran Singh,
दादा एक मिनट
जी सर, अब ये गुरुजी, ये किताब पढ़ने से तो जिसको मतलब कोई टूल किट मालूम भी नहीं है वो भी बना लेगा।
सॉरी फोन को बोला था मेरा।
Was no exception, and he lost his Jalandhar parliamentary seat. After serving as a cabinet minister for an unbroken spell of 23 years, followed by 1.5 years as an MP, he vacated his official residence, 7 Krishna Menon Marg in New Delhi, and within the stipulated period of 1 month, shifted to his own house at 11 Link Road, Jalandhar. Despite moving back to Jalandhar, he would visit New Delhi occasionally and stay with one of his 4 daughters. During the period October to November 1982, he mostly stayed with us at my officially allotted flat at Satya Marg in Chanakyapuri. Otherwise a man of few words and known for his discretion, it was mainly due to his stay with us that I came to know about developments related to an attempt at finding a negotiated peaceful settlement with the Akalis, in which he played a significant role. Upon the request of the Akalis, Swaran Singh met Indira Gandhi in the first week of October 1982, soon after a return from a state visit to the US, and apprised her of the message he had received from them. He sorry, impressed upon her the need to work out a face-saving formula for the Akalis to help them out of their predicament. She agreed to his suggestion and asked him to go ahead with his plan. At the time, other than Longwall, most senior Akali leaders were in preventive detention in various jails because of ongoing Dhanam Yudh Morcha. Badal was in Ludhiana jail and the others, including Tora, were in Firozpur jail. Travelling in his personal car, mostly in the dead of the night, Swan Singh met all the senior Akali leaders in jail, as well as Longwall, who was directing the morcha from the Golden Temple more than once. While trying to ascertain their views on the minimum acceptable demands which could help them take a decision to withdraw the morcha, Swan Singh advised them to agree to a reasonably acceptable solution. As a first step towards facilitating Swan Singh's talks with the Akali leaders as a group, all the leaders were released from jail on 15th of October 1982. Following this, Swaran Singh had several meetings with them and discussed their demands, some of which were quite mundane. The Anandpur Sahib resolution was the principal snag. Swaran Singh told the Akalis he could only discuss with them matters concerning center-state relations and nothing beyond. The Akalis held several meetings among themselves and watered down their demands for devolution of power to the states as compared to what was mentioned in the Anandpur Sahib resolution. Swaran Singh was finally able to convince the Akalis that the matter should be left to Indira Gandhi, who could consider appointing a committee to examine the Anandpur Sahib resolution, as no solution would have been possible without taking Bhindranwale on board. Swaran Singh went to meet him at Guru Nanak Nivas. When Swaran Singh walked into Bhindranwale's room, he found journalist Kuldip Nair there. Nair has described that meeting in his autobiography. Once I caught up with Bhindranwale in his very untidy room and I asked him why he was surrounded by so many armed men toting rifles and Sten guns. His reply in rustic Punjabi was to ask why the police carried guns. I told him police represented authority, to which he retorted, "Let them ever challenge me and I shall show them who has the authority." पागल था क्या ये? बेवकूफ था एकदम.
जैल सिंह का चमचा था ना वो.
When I was with Bhindranwale, former Central Minister Swaran Singh barged in. As I was sitting on the only chair in the room, he squatted on the floor. Before I could offer him the chair, he remarked that he preferred to sit on the floor in the presence of the sun. कुमार थोड़ी खाना था. कुमार थोड़ी खाना था. Obviously, Nair did not know the real purpose behind Swaran Singh's visit that day. Swaran Singh's words were meant to massage Bhindranwale's ego, as Singh was about to seek a favor from him as soon as everyone in the room left. About a year before Nair passed away in 2018, in an executive committee meeting of the Bhai Veer Singh Sahitya Sadan, of which both of us were members, I told Nair about the real purpose of Singh's visit that day. Nair, who knew Swaran Singh very well, said that from Swaran Singh's behavior that day, he could not gauge the real importance of that visit. When everyone in that room had left, Swaran Singh, on Bhindranwale's request, moved to the chair. He told Bhindranwale that as one of his well-wishers, he had come to discuss with him a very important matter. Singh went on to say that inaction on the part of the government towards its gun-toting, motorcycle-riding army should not be construed as its weakness. If the government so desired, they could put a stop to the activities in no time. Further, if he
and the colleagues.
सर आगे बढ़ेंगे सर.
एक मिनट.
जी जी. Further, if he and the Akalis continued with the agitations, it would bring great harm to Punjab in general and the Sikhs in particular. Singh told Bhindranwale that his advice was that before the government was compelled to take any drastic action against him and his armed men, he should withdraw his agitation and move back to his Gurdwara at Chowk Mehta and concentrate on religious activities. Singh ended by saying that with the approval of Indira Gandhi, he was trying to work out a compromise that could help the Akalis withdraw their agitation. He told... जी.
बैक में जोड़ना चाहता है तो जोड़ दीजिए.
किसको जोड़ तो लिया? अवगढ़ है. ब्लू चारबाग बन के आया आज.
He told Bhindranwale that if he had any reasonable demand of his own, he should feel free to discuss it with him, and as far as possible, he would try to accommodate it with a compromise formula which the Akalis Bhindranwale that if he had any reasonable demand of his own, he should feel free to discuss it with him, and as far as possible, he would try to accommodate it once a compromise formula with the Akalis was worked out. At first, Bhindranwale expressed his usual grievances with the Hindu governments discriminatory attitude towards Sikhs. Swaran Singh advised him that he had better not get involved in such demands, as these were a part of Akali demands also. Singh was finally able to bring down Bhindranwale to one small demand, which was the unconditional release of Amrik Singh and Thara Singh. Bhindranwale also agreed to move back to his Mehta Chowk Gurdwara once a final settlement was reached and his men were released. Swaran Singh had been keeping Indira Gandhi informed about the outcome of his meeting at regular intervals, including the one with Bhindranwale. He also conveyed to her the details of the agreement on Anandpur Sahib resolution and the distribution of waters, the two principal demands. She accepted the settlement and praised him for his painstaking efforts. She, however, told him that she would like the matter to be placed before a cabinet subcommittee, which she constituted immediately with Pranab Mukherjee, R. Venkatraman, P.V. Narasimha Rao, and P.C. Sethi as its members. Indira Gandhi also agreed that senior Akali leaders be called to Delhi for formal discussions with the subcommittee. Ghosts behind every bush.
बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ये, देखो.
जी. At this stage, I would like to mention that I came to know about the negotiations with the Akalis sometime in early October 1982, since I had already come to know through my friend from Patiala about the Congress conspiring to win the next general elections through a dramatic solution to a deliberately manufactured crisis in Punjab. I told my father-in-law that if my information was correct, he would not be able to work out a compromise formula and it would be sabotaged on one pretext or the other. He said, you intelligence people are in the habit of seeing ghosts behind every bush. I wished him success. In my mind, I decided what the success or failure of my father in law's efforts to broker a compromise would be a litmus test for the veracity or otherwise of the information my friend had conveyed to me. His discussions with Akali leaders and Bhindranwale over, and Indira Gandhi's approval of the formulae worked out by him obtained, Swaran Singh travelled back to Delhi on or around 30th of October 1982 and stayed with us in our Satyamarg Chanakyapuri flat. From what I observed during Singh's stay with us, Longwall had detailed Prakash Singh Badal and Balwant Singh as his messengers for exchange of messages or information to and from Swaran Singh. On the government side, Swaran Singh interacted by phone with Pranab Mukherjee, then finance minister, who had been his colleague in Indira Gandhi's cabinet till November 1975. Swaran Singh met members of the cabinet subcommittee on Punjab affairs and briefed them about his meetings with the Akali leaders and Bhindranwale. Regarding Bhindranwale's demand for the release of Amrik Singh and Thara Singh, Swaran Singh told them that in his view, based on his knowledge of criminal law, the cases against the two were weak and they would be released by the court on their very first appearance. So why not oblige Bhindranwale in a case which was bound to fall in court in any case? In fact, both were subsequently discharged in the summer of 1983 and died during Operation Blue Star. Four senior Akali leaders, Prakash Singh Badal, Gurcharan Singh Tora, Jagdev Singh Talwandi, and Balwant Singh reached New Delhi to participate in discussions with the cabinet subcommittee.
इसको थोड़ा
On the
आगे
sec-
बढ़ा देते हैं, एक इसको आगे बढ़ा देते हैं, ये ऐसे ही है. वही पुरानी डिमांड की बात कर रहा है ना ये.
हाँ वही बात कर रहा है.
On the morning
On
of 3rd
morning of
November,
3rd of November, the cabinet committee met in P.V. Narasimha Rao's room in the Parliament House. Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister P.C. Alexander, Cabinet Secretary C.R. Swami Rao Sahib, Home Secretary T.N. Chaturvedi, and Special Secretary Home P.P. Nair were also present. Swaran Singh also attended the meeting. His plea was that the Akalis should be given a way out to withdraw their agitation before the planned meeting on 4th of November. This could be done by making a conciliatory announcement on the basis of which had been agreed with the on the basis of what had been agreed with the Akali leaders on 2nd of November. It was decided that Home Minister P.C. Sethi would make a statement in Parliament on the morning of 4th of November on the government stand on the Akali
Now, see, this is November 82, na?
जी
Now, Jail Singh is out of the sea, na? Jail Singh is become
हम्म,
president, July
जी
में. तो PC Sethi has become home minister. ये हो गया. Swaraj
demand
Singh
and
and
a
the
copy
cabinet
of the
committee met once again in afternoon on 3rd November, adopted a statement which was to be, कौन?
Swaran Singh and the cabinet committee met once again in the afternoon on 3rd of November. A draft statement, which was to be made in the parliament the next morning, was prepared. The gist of the statement, as I learned from my father-in-law sometime later, is given below. 1. All religious demands were to be fully met. 2. Regarding devolution of some central powers to Punjab, as envisaged in the Anandpur Sahib resolution, a commission would be appointed to go into the entire gamut of center-state relations and make recommendations about which powers would be transferred to the states. Regarding sharing of river waters,
Efforts would be made to suitably compensate Punjab for the loss of water resulting from the agreement signed 31st December 1981. About Chandigarh, efforts would be made to compensate Haryana financially and otherwise in lieu of Haryana not insisting on the transfer of Fazilka and Abhar areas as a condition for the transfer of Chandigarh to Punjab. Finally, a brief mention was made of the role of the Sikhs in the freedom movement and the contribution made by them after independence. Although most of the consensus were of futuristic nature, they were specific enough to give the Akalis reasonable ground to withdraw the agitation without losing face. The meeting was over by 5 p.m. and the statement was informally shown to a representative of Akali, the delegation, who approved it. Satisfied at the cabinet committee's favorable view of the demand, Badal Talwandi Tora and Balwant Singh returned to Amritsar on the evening of 3rd November. Around 6 p.m., G.S. Chawla, senior correspondent of Indian Express, visited Special Secretary Home P.P. Nair. In his room, Nair was dictating a letter from the Home Minister to the Speaker informing him that he would like to make the enclosed statement in Parliament the next morning. Nair told his personal assistant to take that letter with the earlier approved statement as it enclosure to the Home Minister for his signature, and after that deliver it to the Speaker. A copy of the letter with the enclosure was also sent to Prime Minister. On Chawla's request, Nair allowed him to publish a story on this development provided he sought approval from a minister of the Cabinet Subcommittee. Instead, G.S. Chawla spoke to Swaran Singh and sought his clearance for publishing the report. Nair told Chawla to go ahead with his report, which appeared as a front-page lead story in the Indian Express on so-and-so. On so-and-so, senior Akali leader were sitting at the SGPC office at Amritsar to announce their next program. Okay, फिर क्या हुआ?
सर प्रेम जी आना चाह रहे हैं.
क्या बाहर चले गए थे क्या वो? मैं
जी
देखा
जी
नहीं.
जी
आज हमारे
अच्छा, दादा ये जो अमृतपाल है ये अब 2-3 साल तक तो बुक हो ही गया है. 2 साल
साल भर का है, साल भर का है, साल भर का.
पढ़ता हूँ सर आगे. After a couple of hours, the same
NSA,
caller from
NSA is only for 1 year.
और यूपा,
हाँ?
UAP.
अरे वो
वो भी
आपका
साल का है, दोनों कंकरेंट चलेगा, साल भर बस.
After a couple of
तो
hours,
अगले
the same
साल
caller from
ये अगले साल अप्रैल में फिर ये बाहर आ जाएगा इलेक्शन के समय.
तब उसको फिर केस चलाएंगे ना, ट्रायल चलेगा ना उसका. ही विल नॉट बी रिलीज अंटिल अनलेस ही वांटेड अदर केस. उसके ऊपर जो क्रिमिनल चार्जेज है ना, ये डिटेंशन अलग होता है, जो ट्रायल चलेगा वो अलग चलेगा ना. उसका जो चार्जेज लगे उसके ऊपर, आईपीसी के ऊपर और बाकी जो चार्जेज लगे होंगे, फिर वो ट्रायल में चलेगा, तब उसको बेल लेनी पड़ेगी उसको.
और उसकी बीवी को भी नहीं बाहर निकलने दे रहे.
तो वो तो पूरा इक्वली उसमें है ना. सीजन क्या बोलते हैं, 120 में कॉन्स्पिरेसी में है ना, पूरी हो. After a couple of hours, the same caller
After a couple of hours, the same caller from Amritsar told Swaran Singh that the letter from New Delhi had been received, but it had been significantly altered, both in tone and content. The caller also said it was a case of downright betrayal of the promise made to them at the subcommittee meeting on 3rd of November. It also said that Longwall had asked it to be conveyed to Swaran, that in the light of this, development, it would not be possible for them to postpone or withdraw their Dharam Yudh Morcha. Swaran Singh then called Pranab Mukherjee to check the veracity of the information he had received from the Akalis. Confirming it, Pranab Mukherjee wanted Singh to suggest ways and means of retrieving the situation. Swaran Singh told Mukherjee that he had tried his best to save Punjab from the deepening crisis, but in view of the overnight change in the earlier approved statement, he would not like to be associated with the negotiations in future.
कितना बैक स्टैप किया ना बुड्ढे को,
जी
उसका दिया टारगेट वाज 85 इलेक्शन ना, उसको सॉल्व
जी
करने देना नहीं चाह रहे थे, रात को लेटर चेंज कर दिया, वाह।
I'm reproducing here the text of the statement actually made by Home Minister P.C. Sethi in the Lok Sabha on the 4th of November. Government has been deeply distressed. The government has been deeply distressed over the situation in Punjab. The Prime Minister and senior members of the cabinet have met delegation of Akalis several times. The Prime Minister has indicated to them that practically all religious demands could be accepted, subject to details being worked out, but this could not be finalized because of their other demands. During the recent agitation, government
छोड़ो छोड़ो, इतना लंबा लेटर है, बहुत बहुत वो है, इसको पढ़ो।
the above statement I hope in the present circumstances nothing will be done which may escalate tension or will give rise to violence and suffering. I appeal to all parties to extend their cooperation. The above statement, though also futuristic, deviated from the original statement shown to the Akalis in that it lacked the specificity that made it acceptable to them in the first place. There was no mention of a commission to look into center-state relations, no mention of river waters, no mention of Chandigarh. On top of that, instead of recognizing the contributions made by the Sikhs to the freedom struggle and nation building, oblique aspersions were being cast on their commitment to national unity and integrity. Anxious to find the reason for this overnight change of statement, Swan Singh left home soon after these calls. He went to Parliament House, where he met G.S. Chawla, who asked him, Sardar Sahib, why this change in the government stance? Swan Singh replied, this is neither the same statement nor the same spirit. Now I'm going to withdraw from the negotiations, and told Chawla that he could be quoted on this. After that, Swan Singh decided not to get involved in future negotiations with the Akalis. Though he was repeatedly requested by Indira Gandhi to play some part in solving the Punjab problem, he kept away. There were various versions regarding the government's volte-face.
A few days after the statement was made in Parliament, P.P. Nair told Chawla in strict confidence that it was changed by
Indira Gandhi herself. At 11 p.m., and a new statement was sent to the Speaker and the Home Minister. Chawla is of the view that despite becoming the President of India in July 1982, Gyani Zail Singh had played a dubious role in what had happened. Zail Singh, who had
ये
carried tales,
घोस्ट है, हाँ? ये लोग घोस्ट हैं, घोस्ट
हाँ,
behind the bush.
Zail Singh, who had carried tales regarding Swan Singh in the immediate aftermath of the declaration of the emergency, citing Singh's open criticism of the move, did not want any Sikh leader to get the credit for solving the Punjab imbroglio. He reportedly told Indira Gandhi that credit for solving the Punjab problem should go to Rajiv Gandhi, as it would help the fledgling politician build his reputation as a national level political leader. Referring to the failure of the talks, Mark Tully and Satish Jacob mention in their book that Swan Singh was bitterly disappointed and never became involved in the negotiations again. Asian Games shenanigans.
ये बेकार का
Shenanigans.
इसको रहने
Sorry,
देते हैं,
Asian Games shenanigans.
पढ़ना है
नहीं ठीक है.
इसमें वो एशियन गेम में क्या कर रहे हैं, अब ये क्या कर रहा है कि राजीव गांधी को ऊपर लेकर के आ रहे हैं, ये चक्कर इसमें ये हो रहा है
जी.
ये पढ़ो, व्हाट हैपेंड नेक्स्ट इज नरेटेड बाय पीसी लेटर.
P.C. Alexander says some unforeseen developments took place which prevented the formal conclusion of the proposed agreement between the government and the Akalis. Just an hour or so before the Home Secretary was to board the special plane for Amritsar, carrying with him the draft of the minutes of the talks, we had to suddenly face very strong opposition to the whole proposal from an unexpected source. The unexpected source was Indira Gandhi's loyal follower Bhajan Lal, ever willing to curry favor with her at the slightest pretext. According to P.C. Alexander, Bhajan Lal, who had been informed of the proposal in this instance, adopted a determined stand against giving any concessions to the Akalis on Chandigarh and water sharing issues without adequately protecting Haryana's interests. Only a year ago, Darbara Singh had been summoned to Delhi to jointly sign an agreement with the Congress party chief ministers of Haryana and Rajasthan to withdraw a case filed by his predecessor, Akali Chief Minister Badal, in the Supreme Court. If a person like Darbara Singh could be made to do this, making a pliant loyalist like Bhajan Lal agree to the latest draft agreement should have been much easier. There were various ways of communicating to Bhajan Lal what Indira Gandhi wanted him to do or not do at a particular juncture, if that was the intention. Incidentally, Bhajan Lal was the leading exponent. It was not the father of Ayaram Gayaram practice in Indian politics, party hopping based on political opportunism, literally, someone who comes and goes, before he joined the Congress party. ये शिफ्ट करता था.
ये दल बदलू था, ये पूरा पूरा
हाँ,
पार्टी
वही
को
तो
लेकर कांग्रेस में आ गया था ये.
the failure of the November
नहीं,
1982
मत
talks.
मत करो, मत करो. ये पढ़ो.
Though the talks with the Akalis had failed by February, Indira Gandhi subsequently visited Gurdwara Bangla Sahib in New Delhi and abruptly announced that the government had accepted all the religious demands of the Sikhs. As it turned out, these were mere words with no matching follow-up action. Then in June 1983, she announced the constitution of a one-man commission headed by a retired Supreme Court judge, Justice R.S. Sarkaria, to look into the structure of center-state relations as enshrined in the constitution and suggest changes, if any, that were required to meet the growing aspirations of the states. देखिए, suggest changes if any, ये हम लोग बहुत यूज करते हैं. If any, मतलब पहले से ही बोल देते हैं if any. करना है करो, नहीं तो नहीं, कोशिश करो कि नहीं किया ये. Had the Prime Minister made these concessions to the Akali Dal delegation during the latest round of negotiations that failed just a few months before, in February, the Akalis could have projected them as their own achievement, giving them some reasonable grounds to withdraw their morcha. In the context of the failed February talks, Surjit said it was the third time in 6 months that Indira Gandhi had backed out of agreements. It was during this time that Mark Tully met Bhindranwale in his room at Guru Nanak Niwas. When Tully asked him a direct question, do you or do you not support the demand of Khalistan, Sikh independent state? Bhindranwale replied, I am neither in favor of it nor against it. If the government gives us, we won't reject it. अभी देखिए language change हो रहा है. Following this, reject it. Following this, a number of rounds of talks and negotiations continued to take place between the Akali Dal and the central government functionaries, nominees in the period leading up to Operation Blue Star. All met with the same fate as the earlier months. However, in this intervening period, one internal discussion held by Akali Dal in Amritsar and the last round of talks between the Akalis and the central government in New Delhi merits special mention. Following the failure of the talks in February 1984, Longwal called a meeting of Akali Dal leaders in Amritsar to discuss the future course of the Dharam Yudh Morcha. It was generally felt that as the Morcha had been hijacked by Bhindranwale, which was doing more harm than good to the Sikhs, it would be better to suspend or even withdraw it unconditionally. While a consensus was emerging in favor of that decision, Balwant Singh, former finance minister in the Badal government, stood up and made a provocative speech saying that even that saying that after having made so many sacrifices, suspension or withdrawal of the morcha would be a betrayal of the Sikh cause. According to G.S. Chawla, Balwant Singh was beholden to Alexander for his help in furthering his personal business interests. Chawla mentions that soon after the meeting was over, senior Akali leader Atma Singh telephoned someone at Rashtrapati Bhavan and told that person that so far his own impression had been that the government truly wanted the agitation to end. But from the speech made at the meeting by Balwant Singh, it now appeared that the government was not interested in finding a peaceful solution. With no solution in sight to the Akali Dal's dilemma, and disturbed by Bhindranwale's unimpeded hijacking of the morcha, Longwal gave a call on 23rd of May 1984 for intensification of the Dharam Yudh Morcha from 3rd of June onwards. The agenda included non-payment of land revenue, water and electricity charges, and stopping the movement of food grains out of Punjab. Expectedly, P.C. Alexander writes, Indira Gandhi did not want to miss even the faintest chance of settlement through negotiation, and therefore she asked us to get in touch with Longwal once again and ascertain his willingness to depute a team of senior leaders for talks. On receipt of the message from the Prime Minister, Longwal sent Badal, Tora, and Barnala to New Delhi, and secret talks were held on 26th of May at a guest house in Vasant Bihar with cabinet ministers P.V. Narasimha Rao, Pranab Mukherjee, and P. Shiv Shankar in attendance. The government representatives insisted on the transfer of some Punjab villages to Haryana in lieu of Haryana surrendering its claim over Chandigarh. The Akalis were not in a position to give concessions on any issue due to the weakened position vis-a-vis Bhindranwale. About this matter, Kuldeep Nair writes,
छोड़ दो, नहीं पढ़ो इसको, रहने दो, यहाँ पढ़ो, ये वाला यहाँ पढ़ो, नारवा
Nair
साहब.
was shocked but not surprised when the army moved into the Golden Temple on 3rd of June. As a member of the Punjab group, he felt defeated because Rao had entrusted them with the task of talking to the Akalis only 10 days before the army moved in. Nair had learned from Major General K.S. Brar, who led Operation Blue Star, that the army had been told about the assignment about a fortnight earlier. This meant that the government had already made up its mind to storm the Golden Temple even before Rao had spoken to them. Naturally, Nair was surprised as to why Rao had hidden that fact from them. Thus ended the prolonged charade of finding a peaceful solution to the Punjab problem through negotiations with the Akalis. These prolonged round of talks had served the purpose of the One Akbar Road group and were no longer required. Instead, as per the Operation 2 plan, the time had come to implement the final solution to solve the Punjab problem, for which they had waited 4 long years. 4 साल
चराड,
तक
नौटंकी,
the
चराड.
charade The charade lasted for 4 long years.
Yes, चराड. That's it. अभी मैं आगे नहीं पढ़ने देता हूँ. अब ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार कल करेंगे हम लोग. Yes sir, बहुत हो गया. मतलब जैल सिंह प्रेसिडेंट हाउस में बैठ करके भी वो खुराफात कर रहा था वो. तो जैल
करेगा ही
सिंह
सर, सब तो अपना ही आदमी, सब अपने ही लोग
प्रेसिडेंट
थे
बनने के
सब
बाद
ना.
में क्या मिलने वाला है? वो प्रेसिडेंट बनने के बाद चीफ मिनिस्टर बनना चाह रहा था क्या वो? After becoming president of India, he wanted to become chief minister. मतलब क्या है? क्या चाह
I
रहा था वो?
don't think so. चीफ मिनिस्टर नहीं, मतलब he wanted to have a stranglehold as we call it.
No, जैसे कि ये लिख रहे हैं, he never wanted that Punjab problem is solved because of Swaran Singh or whatever it is. It should not be.
Correct,
Somebody
correct.
should not get the name कि हाँ भाई solve कर दिया. So that was his intention कि ठीक है, हर चीज को jeopardize करते रहो. Yeah, his intention was only to support Bhindarwala. I think Bhindarwala इसका brain child था ना, तो all out ये उसके फेवर में जा रहा था. That's why he
नहीं,
wanted कि
एक 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 कॉन्स्पिरेसी थ्योरी मैं बता रहा हूँ सर. हो सकता है ऐसा कि ठीक है, इंदिरा गांधी खड़ा की भिंद्रावाले को, लेकिन ये भी नहीं चाह रहे थे कि भिंद्रावाले को नुकसान पहुंचे, वो आगे बढ़े, ये भी चाह रहे थे.
yes. मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है I think there was apprehension in the mind of Indira and Jal Singh that if this problem is solved, then Akali Dal will gain
अगेन
mileage.
नहीं, विल गेट ऑल द ग्लोरिफिकेशन इट
Yes,
डिजर्व्स.
yes, yes, yes. So they wanted all the way. They wanted that Akali should be in back foot.
Kicked out
He
literally,
should.
kicked out literally, despite going through the travels and trauma. Such was the precarious position the country was in.
ये जो नई जनरेशन है, जब ये लोग
तो पता ही नहीं, अरे सर मुझे पता नहीं था, आप इसको नहीं निकालते तो हम लोगों को थोड़ी पता होता इतना अंदर का बात. देखिए
जो 84,
जनरल
85 के
ब्रार
बाद
का इंटरव्यू है,
हाँ,
यूट्यूब में जनरल ब्रार का इंटरव्यू है, बट ही मेक्स नो मेंशन ऑफ ऑल दिस, ही न्यू एवरीथिंग.
मेरे को तो ये मालूम है पूरा बिकॉज दैट टाइम आई वाज इन दिल्ली ना, तो आई
जी
यूज्ड टू
जी
रीड
जी.
पेपर्स, हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स, टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ता रहता था, और कुछ वैसे
और
भी सुनने को मिलता था.
अंदर का खबर भी आपको थोड़ा बहुत तो मिलता ही होगा.
हाँ, दिल्ली
दिल्ली में
यूनिवर्सिटी
आप
में और
रहोगे तो
जेएनयू में, आईआईटी में जो शाम के टाइम में जो मेस में मीटिंग चलती थी ना, जो बकवास होती थी, वो भी सुनते थे हम लोग.
उससे कुछ तो आप डिड्यूस कर ही सकते थे कि किस तरफ जा रहा है और कौन कर रहा है ये सब. इतना आपको मालूम था कि इंदिरा गांधी खुद मतलब इस तरह की
यस,
शीमा. हाँ?
पूरे ब्यूरोक्रेट को मालूम था भाई. आईआईटी जेएनयू इज हब ऑफ ब्यूरोक्रेसी. वहां पे लड़का
करेक्ट
जो पास
करेक्ट
होकर निकलता है ना,
करेक्ट. उसका कोई ना कोई तो होगा ही
तो वो लोग
ब्यूरोक्रेसी में.
आपस में आते भी हैं वहां पर,
अरे
हॉस्टल में
सीनियर
आते हैं,
लोग
बैठते
होंगे
खाते
ना,
हैं,
उनके
डिस्कस करते
सीनियर
हैं
जो
क्या हो
आपके
रहा है.
साथ पढ़ रहे हैं उनके सीनियर्स होंगे उसमें.
बट देयर हैंड्स वर टाइट ना. इसने खुद बोला, इसका खुद का हैंड टाइट था. ही वाज डूइंग एवरीथिंग बट ही वाज हेल्पलेस. सोलन सिंह का दामाद होने के बावजूद भी ही वाज हेल्पलेस.
नहीं तो मैं ये सोच रहा हूँ हाउ क्रूअल दैट लेडी वाज, हाउ क्रूअल.
नहीं, मुझे ये समझ में नहीं आया है कि इसने रैना साहब को क्यों पटा लिया था. जो आर्मी के जनरल थे उन लोगों
हाँ
को भी
तो
पटा
राणा
लिया
साहब
था. पूरा
कश्मीरी
पूरा
थे
अपने
ना.
जेब में रख लिया था यार.
नहीं, राणा साहब कश्मीरी थे ना.
हाँ, टीएस रैना.
हाँ तो इसीलिए पटा लिए ना. आंसर आपको मिल गया सर. आप राणा साहब कश्मीरी थे तो उनको पटा
पढ़े नहीं
लिए.
थे आप. वो ही वाज इन बीकानेर और समवेयर. ही वाज कॉल्ड
जी जी
बैक
जी.
आ जाओ यहाँ पर. ये सब था यार. मैं तो, मेरे को वो उन दिनों के जो हालत है देख करके, मतलब सोच करके रोए खड़े हो जाते हैं. आई हैव सीन पीपल बर्निंग ऑन रिंग रोड आउटसाइड आईआईटी हॉस्टल गेट.
इनको क्या फर्क पड़ता है, so long it suits their agenda. इनको क्या फर्क
एंड
पड़ता है.
when we IITian tried to help them out, they attacked
अरे
our
पुलिस वाले,
campus also.
हाँ
They attacked
आपको,
our campus also.
हाँ अंदर आकर आप पे लाठी बरसाएंगे फिर.
हाँ, ये तमाशा था. अब समझ
ये
में
तो
आता है
सर
कि
हर
हाँ,
जगह.
what was the game behind. बाप रे. अच्छा, एक ये भी हो सकता है. She was killed in October only because अगर ये जनवरी तक रह जाती थी तो और भी बवाल हो जाता था ना.
और भयंकर ये होता, भयंकर रूप लेता
Yes,
फिर.
yes, 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 yes,
वही
yes.
तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
She almost got the price, like वो जो उसने 4 साल तक किया था.
वो
लड़का तो
ठीक
आ
तो
गया ना
हुआ है.
फिर. She lost her life, but लड़का तो 405 लेकर के आया ना.
लड़का also lost his life. दोनों लड़के lost their lives. What is the use of all this?
चलो भाई डिस्कस करो. मैं थोड़ा सा बाहर जाके आता हूँ. मेरे को रेस्ट रूम जाना है, कुछ भी करना है. आप लोग थोड़ा काम
जी
में.
जी.
ए प्रोफेसर साहब, प्रेम जी से डिस्कस करो.
वानर राज जी भी शायद बैक स्टेज में ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं, लाइव है मेरे ख्याल से.
हाँ ठीक है, तो आप लोग डिस्कस करो. आई एम टेकिंग 5 मिनट्स और 10 मिनट्स ब्रेक.
जी दादा, वानर राज भी अगर बैक स्टेज में है तो.
लेकिन आएंगे कैसे, मेरे पास तो कंट्रोल नहीं है.
अरे नहीं है, वो मैं देख रहा हूँ. नहीं है.
अच्छा अच्छा.
नहीं
ठीक
है
है दादा, लिंक नहीं होगी. ये
जी सर.
आज की स्ट्रीम पर पूरा देखते रहे, हम समझते रहे, तो इसमें
जी।
एक पॉइंट ये मैक्सिमम है जो एडमिट तो करना पड़ेगा, इवन शायद कॉमन ही है, कि इंटरनल थ्रेट बिगर थ्रेट प्रूव होता है कई बार।
बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल।
मैक्सिमम हमारा इंटरनल थ्रेट जो है वो ही सबसे बड़ा लूजिंग फैक्टर बनता है, बिकॉज एक्सटर्नल थ्रेट इज इन फियर फॉर एवर, दे आर इन
External threat can still be controlled,
दे कैन बी कंट्रोल्ड
जी,
एंड नोबडी वांट्स टू अटैक डायरेक्टली। जितना भी आई थिंक 1947 के बाद से जितने भी अटैक हुए हैं नैरेटिव वे
जी,
में,
जी,
बैकस्टेबिंग वे में अटैक हुए हैं। डायरेक्ट अटैक तो मतलब डायरेक्ट अटैक उस टाइम होते थे अपने 1857 या उसके बिफोर हुए हैं डायरेक्ट अटैक। तो जो अपने यूनिफाइड सनातनी हिंदू वैदिक कम्युनिटी के जो हिट है, उसके बाद से इनको क्लियर मैसेज हो गया था कि इनसे डायरेक्ट वॉर में तो बाप नहीं जीत सकता, चाहे कोई भी आ जाए। सो इम्पार्शियल अटैक करने के लिए क्या होता है कि इम्पार्शियल अटैक में सबसे बड़ा विनिंग फैक्टर होता है कि करप्ट पर्सन। और देन जैसे हमने प्ले बॉय और वो कौन सी मैगजीन से, थोड़ी जो मैगजीन्स में इंटरव्यू दिए इंदिरा जी ने, प्ले बॉय बाबा ने और राजीव जी ने जैसे इंटरव्यूज दिए हैं, तो ये हमारे करप्ट ऑफिशियल्स को करप्ट किया गया है और इन लोगों ने सिर्फ डिसीजन लिए जिससे प्रॉपर जी अपनी कम्युनिटी को बहुत डैमेज होता है। आई
जी,
मीन
जी,
डायरेक्ट वॉर में उनका आर्मी का पर्सन प्रबलसम भी होगा, प्लस वैलर ऑटोमेटिकली नेक्स्ट आर्मी में जनरेट होती है, वो यूनिफाइड होता है।
जी,
सो इन लोगों ने प्रॉक्सी वॉर से काफी ज्यादा अपना सक्सेस अचीव करी है। हमारी कम्युनिटी ने फिर भी अपने को ग्लू से अपने आप को होल्ड किया हुआ था, बट एंड में क्या होता है जैसे जो उसके आफ्टर इफेक्ट बहुत लॉन्ग टर्म इफेक्ट में बहुत इन्होंने इन्वेस्ट किया। 1984 80s के जो राइट हुए दंगे हुए, उस समय पे भी, दंगों के समय भी ये मैं मानता हूँ कि यूनिफाइड रहे होंगे, यूनिटी, भारतीय हिंदू कम्युनिटी, भारतीय सिख कम्युनिटी, इन सब में एकता बहुत रही होगी दंगों के बाद भी, क्योंकि समझ रहे थे कि फ्रिंज एलिमेंट है। उस समय के व्यक्तियों ने देख लिया था कि ये लोग दंगा करवा रहे हैं और मार रहे हैं जबरदस्ती। सिमिलर हुआ था अपना महाराष्ट्र में भी, जब गांधी जी को निपटाया गया था, उनका जब वध किया था, तो स्पेसिफिक ब्राह्मण कम्युनिटी के अगेंस्ट भी डायनेमिकली बहुत अपने खुन्नस निकाल के अटैक किया गया। ये नैरेटिव के बिहाफ में काफी मासकेयर किया गया था और उस टाइम भी कम्युनिटी ने होल्ड अप किया। बट लॉन्ग टर्म में क्या होता है कि जो पॉइजन डेवलप होता है, कि हाँ कि इन्वेस्टमेंट किया वन ने, जो पॉइजन फिर रूट किया, दोनों साइड पे अपना जो कंटेंट प्रोवाइड करते हैं, अपना जो थॉट प्रोसेस और जो एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड करते हैं, कंटिन्यूस बिल्डअप करते हैं। सो उससे आज की जनरेशन में, अब आज की जनरेशन 1980 नहीं देखा, आज की जनरेशन ने गांधी जी के समय मर्डर हुआ वो नहीं देखा, नोआकली नहीं देखा, उन्होंने कश्मीर नहीं देखा। तो ये सब फिर इस कंटेंट पे प्रूफ करके और वैमनस से बढ़ जाता है सोसाइटी में। और उसी का फ्रूट अभी ज्योति बसु, ममता बनर्जी, यहाँ पर फारूक
जी,
अब्दुल्ला, इस तरीके के लोग फ्रूट यूज कर रहे हैं। केरला में भी है इस टाइप का। तो कंट्री को बहुत
सब जगह
देश,
फैले हुए हैं, अभी भी हैं।
और ये यूनाइटेड नेशंस की जो क्या ये बहुत सारी पॉलिसीज बनाई गई हैं जो भी हमारे जैसे देशों के विरुद्ध ही थी। शरणार्थी लॉ बना दिए, ये लॉ बना दिया, वो लॉ बना दिया, उससे इनडायरेक्टली आप सपोर्ट किसको कर रहे हो? इन्हीं को दे रहे हो। माइनॉरिटी माइनॉरिटी करके मेजोरिटी को, मतलब ये माइनॉरिटी का ऐसा चलता है ह्यूमन राइट्स का कि मतलब मेजोरिटी पर्सन को आप मर्डर भी कर दो, माइनॉरिटी के अगेंस्ट आप कुछ बोल नहीं सकते।
वही तो हो रहा है अभी भी।
In the name of minority, they have legalized the massacre of majority. तो समाज
वही
को
चीज तो।
समय आना चाहिए, समझना चाहिए कि क्या एजुकेशन है, क्या समझ है। और एजुकेशन का लेवल भी ठीक है, अब उसको कम कर दिया गया, बट पीपल हैव टू एजुकेट देमसेल्फ एंड इट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर फ्यूचर जनरेशन। अदरवाइज फ्यूचर जनरेशन के पास दो ही ऑप्शन है, either they have to live an spineless life or they have to suffer, depart from this life.
Humiliation of the worst order
Hmm.
or get extinguished.
एम साहब,
जी सर।
जो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में वीडियो क्लिप आया था
हाँ
डिस्टर्बिंग,
देखा मैं, देखा।
वो किधर का है वो?
तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा सर।
क्या
वो लोग नहीं, लास्ट में कुछ चिल्ला के भाग रहे ना, मुझे तो बंगाली भाषा जैसा लग रहा है।
समझ में नहीं आया सर, मुझे देखा मैं।
लास्ट आप तेरा ट्राई करके देखो, लास्ट में कोई चिल्ला के भागता है, वो जो कुछ बोलता है वो मुझे बंगाली भाषा जैसा लग रहा है वो।
एक्चुअली सर ये सब कोर्ट में देखता हूँ ना मैं, तो वहाँ तो
हाँ,
ज़्यादा जोर से चला नहीं पाते हैं,
हाँ, हाँ,
और घर आने के बाद तो फिर मतलब पहुँचते पहुँचते ही शाम हो जाती है। और जो आज तो भयंकर स्थिति था हमारे यहाँ,
हाँ। मुझे
क्योंकि
लगता
वो
है ये
उनका रैली था ना,
रिसेंटली,
ममता दीदी का रैली था आज।
मुझे लगता है ना ये रिसेंटली आपको उधर का छोटा इलेक्शन का बहुत ही जो वायलेंट हुआ ना,
तो अभी तक चल रहा, तो वो कहाँ बंद हुआ है?
नहीं उसी का कुछ लग रहा है मेरे को।
उसी का पुराना वीडियो होगा, लेकिन अभी भी चल रहा है सब।
क्या
बहुत
चीज?
खतरनाक
सबको
सी।
लग रहा है कि बंद हो गया, कुछ नहीं हुआ है।
क्या बंद नहीं हुआ भाई साहब?
वो हमारे यहाँ जो बंगाल में जो मतलब भयंकर स्थिति जो है,
हाँ,
वो जारी है, अभी भी बंद नहीं हुई।
वाइंड अप करें इसको?
जी सर।
बिल्कुल कीजिए।
ठीक है, फिर अब मंडे को मिलते हैं इसके बाद में, है ना?
जी सर, व्यूअर्स को नमस्ते हमारे तरफ से।
नीचे
और
नीचे
ठीक है
पे।
आप लोग लाइक करें, सब्सक्राइब करें और कमेंट भी करें, ताकि
ठीक।
हम लोगों को पता चले कि आप लोगों को किस तरह का वीडियोस चाहिए। इसको कंटिन्यू हम लोग करेंगे, और आप लोग कमेंट करते रहेंगे, लाइक करते रहेंगे, सब्सक्राइब करते रहेंगे, तो हम आगे थोड़ा उत्साह मिलेगा हम लोगों को। लगेगा कि आप और पहुंचाते रहिए, इसको शेयर भी करते रहिए, ताकि यंग जनरेशन को पता चले कि किस विषय पे क्यों बोल रहे हैं हम लोग, इसका लॉन्ग टर्म इम्पैक्ट क्या है, क्यों ये जानना ज़रूरी है। क्योंकि कोई हिस्ट्री की किताब में तो ये सब आपको मिलेगा नहीं, अब पुराने न्यूज़पेपर्स भी अवेलेबल नहीं है, लोग
और कोई
भूल भी जाते
न्यूज़पेपर
हैं।
हिम्मत नहीं करेगा इसको पब्लिश करने की।
जी जी। तो दर्शकों को धन्यवाद हमारे तरफ से,
ठीक है
सबको
बेबी, गुड
धन्यवाद।
नाइट।
जी जी, दादा आपको भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद, वंदे मातरम, भारत माता की जय।
जय हिंद, वंदे मातरम, भारत माता की जय।
वंदे मातरम, भारत माता की जय।